All right, let us begin. Oh, let me send tweets and get the tweets happening. All right, all right. Chat. Hello, everybody. Hello, how's it going? We're just gonna kind of mellow out and chat for a while till we see some people coming in, and then I will get started on tonight's game mastering stream. I'm very excited. Also, don't know if I should keep using background music for this or not. This is a Dova Syndrome track that I've used a little bit. It's sort of like my BMG. I wonder if it's almost like a little too intense, maybe? I don't know what's the best word to say it. Also, I forgot. I still need to put all these bad boys together on like a tier maker list, like my Hal's big monster tier list extravaganza. I do want to do that at some point though. But yeah. In the meantime, we will continue to just kind of chill. Hopefully everyone's had a good night, get some good stretches. I had a very lazy Saturday, which is good. After yesterday was not great, today is much better. I am been a healthy boy. I was supposed to do productive things and I did nothing. I did nothing instead, which also felt good. The big thing is I mostly just watch VTubers, and I did paint some more of my Vermin Lord. I've been doing the base work for him, which I carved out little like warpstone crystals, and then I go ahead and attach some gravel to the base and got everything prepped for that. So that's fun. Currently that is drying still, or else I'd post some pictures of it, and I had to move that out of my room because Mod Podge is a very strong smell. Oh, I need to make sure to loop the playlist. There we go. God, yeah, fucking Mod Podge. Like, if people don't know what Mod Podge is, it's kind of like a glue sealant mix. It's really good for miniature basing projects just because it will like lock in lots of like sand and stuff, so it doesn't get like out and about. Because sand and gravel especially, because like more so than sand, gravel has a very like ununiform texture. If you can get like really fine grit gravel, that stuff makes really good basing material. You can normally buy that stuff in shops, but what I did is I found a bunch like in front of my house, like on my driveway, like not even from my driveway. It just kind of like washed up because of rain. So I took a big scoop. People gave me weird looks, but I took a big scoop and I took it inside and I cleaned it. And I basically the way to best cling stuff you find in nature is give it a good soap wash and then put it in the oven for about, I forget, I think like 350, 250. You don't put it for too high, but you put it in there long because you basically just want to like bake out all the potential like bacteria, maybe if there's any like parasites or something in that. It's also a good way to deal with stuff for pets. Yeah. So let me go ahead and get started on this. I could at very least take us to the official stream page. Beef. This is whenever I create a new document. Eero, hello, how's it going? I'm doing a like game mastery workshop today. This is gonna be fun. Semi, hello, how's it going? Familiar faces. This is good. Also, I was originally gonna have background music, but I think I'm just gonna kill that because it is driving me crazy, and I'd rather not be driven crazy in my own stream. So this is good. So yeah, so basically today is I'm kind of going over the process of how I prep and run tabletop role-playing games. I know people are very interested in both getting into games and running games themselves, but either they don't know how, or they're rusty, or they're scared. A lot of people are very scared of it, but it's actually not that hard. I mean, I think there's a lot of pressure on people kind of going into the hobby. So I'm just going to show my output and how I sort of do things. And generally when I do stuff, I very much shorthand a lot of things. So this should be a good way to kind of show how actually easy it is. So what we're going to be doing, I'm using a couple different tools tonight. First, let me see. Queen X space, hello, beep. Wah, hello, beep, boop, space support. Ooh, hello, Queen X space. That was a very fun series of words. How's it going? So first thing I'm going to show tonight is Roll20. Roll20 is a website I've been using for years. If you want to run online games, this is the one I recommend. I think there's others, but I've had good luck with Snezok. Hello, how's it going? It is going good. Today has been a very good day, mostly just because it wasn't yesterday. Though yesterday's Dragon's Dogma stream really did pick up my spirits. That has brought me back to full strength. So yeah, Roll20. I'm just going to kind of just briefly go into Roll20. We'll see how this goes. So these are other campaigns I've done. This is an account I specifically made for Vtuber. You can tell we got Handsome Squidward How. And here's like a little preview for the next game I'm going to be running. Stockshock, hello. How's it going? I'm doing good. I'm just starting my Gamemaster stream, so this is fun. You came in right in time. You guys all came in right in time. I always get worried when I do these lecture streams. I'm like, oh God, what if it's just like no one shows up? And then what do I do? What do I do? But you guys are here. So go ahead and we'll go ahead and create a new game. What I'm going to do, it's a combination of like showing you some notes and examples from other games I've ran, but also we're just going to kind of like build a campaign together. So in this example, we're just going to use Roll20. We're just going to make this called Cool Dude Sample Adventure. And here is the real strength of Roll20, where it says optional choose a character sheet. A lot of times with online games, people kind of just download character sheets, or they just write them, they print them out and write them down, and like you don't have access to them. Roll20 has basically every character sheet known to man for basically every system you could possibly think of, organized. There's so many. We got multiple advanced D&D sheets. We got all the systems you could possibly think of. The new Aliens game, I think, is in there. It's really cool. It's really, really handy. The big reason I like using this too is as a GM. If someone, yeah, Amber, yeah. I'm ready to teach. I am. How's it going? So today we were starting at Roll20, and I'm torn because like as I understand, this is gonna be a nerd rant. We're gonna start with the nerd rant really early. So the current edition of Dungeons & Dragons is Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. It's easily the most popular role-playing game. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of it, but I understand that it is a lot of people's introduction into role-playing. So I might bounce back and forth between that as an example, but I do want other people to explore games. So we'll probably kind of bump back and forth based on stuff. So we'll go ahead and just assume Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition for this like little test campaign. But no, personally, if I had the choice, I would probably use something else. So this one's got a built-in D&D 5th edition sheet, and these sheets are really handy because they go ahead and auto-roll stuff for you as well. We'll go ahead and launch a Cool Dude Sample Adventure. And the cool thing about Roll20 is we have a lot of options. Usually what I do, it always wants to use like my camera and stuff. I always tell it to fuck off. If you go to the top right, there's some settings, and you can basically say don't broadcast anything. This is what I do literally every time I create a new campaign. It's not a huge deal. But some of the features of Roll20 that's really cool. So you got a typical dice roller. So we could do 1d4, 4-side die. We have the option to click and drag images onto this battle grid. And you can do full up. They have a personal library stuff. So we could just be like, goblin. Like, let's say a party needs to fight a goblin and you just need something. It shows previous art you've uploaded, but there's also, it grabs some stuff online and from their own personal database. So here's a goblin that's just fucking exploded. And then you can kind of just resize that, put it however. It's really easy for organizing, like if you're doing like a battle thing. You can also just drag and drop images onto there. So in this example, I have a picture of what do I have on? Oh yeah, we have the little salamander friend from yesterday's Dragon's Dogma stream. We'll go ahead and just drop him in there. And boom. Very, very easy. Very, very easy. And then you can do stuff. You can like manage the hit points on the dude. See? Yes. Hell yeah. Before I go too deep, Oedipus, let's get you on there. Let's get you on the official Nanners fan club. Oh my God, so many of you people are on here. I'm so happy. Because like it's twofold. One, I love my snake, and I love that you guys love my snake. And two, it is reassuring. Like getting 10,000 points is a big deal. So I as a streamer, I really appreciate that you guys have stuck around long enough to get added to this illustrious list. All these people on this list are wonderful. I'm very whenever I see a person on this list, I'm very familiar with them. Plaque win. I'm looking at the plaque. I'm probably shooting for maybe sometime late May. Once I get, it's weird. Like I'm not like super strapped for cash, but I'm also really paranoid about buying anything right now while my leg funds are still up in the air. So once I got my legs squared away, I'll probably look into getting the plaque. So I'm very excited. But yeah, Oedipus Reps, I should say your full name for this wonderful occasion. Welcome to the Nanners fan club. Yay, pachi. All right, let's take us, Oh, look at her. She's so cute. She's so cute. She's had one of her weeks where she was fussy about eating food, so I'm giving her legs are necessary. They are necessary for feed pics, technically. By definition, they are. Except I'll just post feed pics for free. I don't care. I won't even make you guys like pay for that. All right, let's go back to the rule 20. Other fun things about this is you can basically this little section lets you make character sheets and handouts, which is very cool. So in this example, we're going to make a character, and then we can actually like open up. The D&D ones actually have just like straight up a thing to guide you through creating a character. It's really handy. Like if you are pretty new to D&D 5e, most of them don't have that. So I don't know. I actually don't really particularly like this character creator. The Celestial Stampede. Oh, fuck yes. Seraphon Army. Seraphon are so cool. I really like that new Croak model too. That new Croak model is very fucking tempting. So yeah, maybe what I'll do real quick, I'm gonna go back to the chat, and I'll kind of take you guys to another like fully fledged campaign I got on here, and I can kind of show you guys so that was just me creating one from scratch. I want to show you one that was kind of existing that I already have. So we'll go ahead and we'll go to the vampire campaign. Actually, I'll give you a look behind the scenes on the vampire campaign. We'll do that. Is this going to be on YouTube? Oh, definitely. For one, I'm looking to put more of my videos on YouTube. I've been uploading, recently I've uploaded 2 Dragon's Dogma streams. And let me give you a link actually to my archive channel. I don't have a command for it yet. But here is, besides the fact, my main channel is going to be for like edited videos and clips and special stuff. Here's my channel that I've been using just straight up for VODs. So as you can see right there, we have Dragon's Dogma 1 and 2. We have my reading stream. Yor with the chat. Yor was the only one who did a default portrait. I was very surprised on that. The chat. I don't know if that's a chat option, but it's fun. So I didn't put a lot on the actual battle map because this one is not... Vampire is like a game where you don't need to do a lot of fighting, but I want to guys just kind of show you their sheets just to kind of show you all the fun stuff. So we have this, if you notice, you'll see a Rippy on there. She potentially was going to join the game, but I just don't think I don't know if she's had the time yet. She's a very busy alien. So we'll go ahead and start with Beetroot Pete. Picty20, hello. This is a Gamemaster workshop stream. I'm just kind of showing people the tools I use, how I build my campaigns. Right now I'm giving a very brief tour through Roll20. Just to kind of show people how it works, because I do like, oh yeah, it's today. I knew a Rippy was a space vampire. Yeah, I do really want to get a Rippy in a campaign. But I'll have to see if she wants still in the vampire. If not, I definitely want to, at some point, a Rippy will be at my table. I really want that to happen. All right, so here is, this is just a look at Beetroot Pete, aka Carmine's character. And we have, this is the official sheet for Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. Something I want to clarify again, this is not 5th edition D&D modified. A lot of people were confused. And here is why. You guys can see behind the scenes why people thought I was rolling a weird 5th edition homebrew. Rage Gauge, hello? Yeah, Roll20 is so good. I love Roll20. I love Roll20 so much. So here's the fun thing. So, what's the strange? What's your strange hybrid system? It's just Vampire 5th edition. Here's the reason why people were confused. In Vampire 5th edition, they have a stat called Charisma, right? They have a stat called Charisma. Is a Rippy playing a vampire? No. Not yet. I should probably. I didn't even think about a Rippy being in here. At some point I'd like to play with a Rippy, but I think it just the timing on the initial campaign getting together didn't necessarily work out. Sometimes it happens when you put together a campaign. Sometimes people that you think are cool, like it's just timing and scheduling. Scheduling with VTubers is really hard too because there's like time zones and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a deep lore. So yeah, so like here's the reason why everyone thought it was the 5th edition campaign. There's a charisma stat. And then there's a persuasion stat. Both of these have equivalent things in D&D 5th edition. So everyone's like, how? Why are you running 5th edition D&D? I don't understand. I'm like, no, I'm running Vampire. I'm running the newest edition of Vampire. I chose the newest edition mostly just because it's easier for everyone to get. I wanted to make sure that everyone could access the material like fairly easily. So that's why I went for that edition. So that's how that goes down. But yeah, so here is the very, very handy thing. So Another big reason why these are super cool. If you notice, there's a lot of D20 symbols on here, and what these let you do is you can actually just roll stats directly. So it's like, Carmine, I want Beetroot Pete to roll a manipulation plus intimidate check. So we can just be like, boop, attribute. Let's put manipulation, submit, no modifiers, and then we go back to this screen and like check it out. Look, it went ahead and rolled everything for him. It's very easy. It's very convenient for newer players. Everyone is using the D&D. Yeah, that's true. That's fair. I mean, well, I'm guilty of it too. A lot of times when I'm talking about tabletop role-playing games, I will just say D&D to people who aren't particularly in the know. It's just like a good way to kind of explain stuff. Grinders haven't changed over, especially. Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's mostly I'm clarifying this because of Corpse of all people was like, Hal, what system did you run the vampire campaign in? Because apparently Yoro and crew were doing little tests with like a weird D20 homebrew, and I was like, I know this is I just ran regular vampire corpse. I know, right? Grit your teeth and just see D. Yeah, I don't really get angry about it anymore because I just understand that they're coming from a place of ignorance. And I think my job as someone who's big into role-playing games is I want to show them what things actually are. And I think that the best way to do I think like getting angry at someone's a bad way to kind of convert them to your hobby. So that's what I've been doing. I don't know about Warhammer Wrath and Glory, but I heard the Age of Sigmar RPG Soulbound wasn't bad. I looked over it very briefly because I am a Age of Sigmar player, and it seemed like it's got some cool. Oh god, D20 Modern. D20 Modern, for people who don't know, is a very interesting beast. Back, like I want to say, like 10 years ago, Wizards tried to turn D&D into like a modern day role playing system. D&D really is the gateway RPG, but I do want to offer alternatives to people, at least on my channel. I know at some point I'm probably going to run a 5th edition D&D thing. It's bound to happen. People are going to request it. But if I have my druthers, I will attempt to run systems that aren't D&D 5th edition as much as I can. If to be honest, if like I don't know if like someone huge was like, hey, Hal, run me a 5th edition system and whatever for me and my friends, I'd probably be like, okay. Because I'm playing the long con. I'm like, all right, you nerds had fun with this. How about we try, I don't know, like Lancer or something next time? Let's do that. It's very, yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked into it too much, but I do know that like Dark Heresy, there's a lot of eating dirt every session. I had a lot of players who would help playing Chainmail. I've never actually looked into the rules of Chainmail. I wonder if those are any fun. That might be fun to look into for like historical reasons. People don't know. Chainmail is the RPG. It was the wargame RPG hybrid that kind of evolved into D&D at some point. Gold on hand or procurement dice systems? Ooh, that's a good question. I do like procurement dice. To explain what Mundo is asking, gold on hand systems are ones where the players have I have 400 gold on me. I have a number and I exchange that number of gold for goods and services. And then meanwhile, a system like Vampire, I think especially, is one that has a, let me see. I'm trying to find one of, so Resources is an example of this. Resources is a system where basically you just roll a die, and if you succeed, it's assumed that you just have the stuff or money to get what you want. So you'd be like, I have 4 dice in gun ownership, and then I want to buy a gun. I just roll gun ownership. Oh, yeah. I did notice that a lot of people these days run pre-built modules. I think it's because 5th edition really sells itself on the modules, so I think a lot of people kind of go in using those as their framework of like what D&D is. Between that and like Adventure Zone and Critical Role, I don't particularly have strong feelings about either of them. I have legitimately never watched a single episode of Critical Role. I tried to listen to Adventure Zone, but I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I liked the What's It Face brothers and like when they do like the Monster Factory series. That's a fun series, but Adventure Zone did nothing for me. I tried to give their Harry Potter campaign a shot, and everyone was too nice. They were doing like a Harry Potter D&D campaign thing, but there was no bullies. There was no bullies at all, and they were trying to be a group of lovable losers. But if there's no bullies, there's no fucking point. You have no antagonists. The Adventure Zone is a podcast series run by My Brother and Me, the Elroys, the Mick Elroys. They basically sort of, they were the one of the earlier ones to get into sort of like D&D as a podcast medium, and they also had like an established fan base, so they did really, really well. No shade on any of the people who run that. Even if I don't like the series, they are very talented comedians who put in their reps, so they deserve their success, even if I don't particularly like their content. The Dimension 20s, I don't know if I've seen. I actually don't consume a lot of actual plays and stuff like that. There's been a couple I've been into, and I might talk about those a bit later. I got wildly sidetracked, but this is expect tangents. Expect tangents are going to happen. It's just a thing that's going to happen in this little workshop. So let me see. So yeah, this is one of the reasons I recommend Roll20. It's a very handy piece of software, and like the nice thing, it's like so on a session 2 of Vampire, Yoro was missing. So I didn't have access, like if she didn't have her character sheet uploaded here, we would just lose access to all of her stats and all of her info. Having it like this, very handy, very handy. So I would recommend Roll20. So real quick, I'm going to shift back to the chat, and I'm going to go ahead and just plug in back the sample campaign, just because I'm going to also use that as like a scratch pad too. So we'll go back to Cool Dude Sample Adventures. You can tell when I'm not forced to come up with good names. Sorry. I like procurement personally. I find tracking minutia to be incredibly unfun. I don't typically when I run D&D, I don't even use experience. I'm one of those people that I'll just level up the players when I feel like it, because pointless bookkeeping isn't fun or interesting. Like you don't go in, like I know some people go into D&D be like charts and spreadsheets, and like that's not why I play these kind of games. So I just usually kind of skip past that. I think Milestones is like that's sort of like when you just level up based on like big story moments. That's what I like. So we're going to also kind of move away from this. So we got this. You guys can see that there's stuff you can put on here. But we're gonna go to, here's some more behind the scenes stuff. So this is how I write notes. First, I'm going to take a big swig of the drink because I'm a thirsty boy. Still good. So typically, here's how I kind of set up campaign prep. This is when the GM avoid use. I mean, that is the beauty of Pig. I think you probably agree on this. I just want to say Pig D20. I love that you just straight up have a die in your name. It's very fun. Pig D20. One of my favorite things about tabletop games is the fact that you can change the rules at any time. You could be like, no, fuck the official rules. If you want to play an entire campaign doing whatever, change things, add things, remove things. If you don't like something, remove it. It's the best part. It's literally the best part. And that's why, like, I know there's some people that get like upset with the way other people play their games and like changes to games, but I'm like, you can just run your own campaigns the way you want. It's good. Don't get angry at other people. Just have fun your own way. Just do it. It's so much easier. Being angry is not productive. That's why I love the medium for the flexibility. But yeah. So how I sort of prep campaigns. So these are the notes for Vampire, specifically the Vampire Vtuber campaign. There's parts 1 and part 2. Just briefly skimming over that. And then there's also some notes that's going to be for part 3, and I don't want to go too far down because I don't want to spoil anything. Speaking of which, Vampire, assuming everything is going as planned, should be happening next Friday. So this is the first potential drop from that. I can't believe all these people are having bad wrong fun. Exactly, like the no fun allowed robot. If I had that, I've heard people have been having a lot of fun taking just like old classic images and editing them. I want to do that. I want to do that for fun. Okay, so here's sort of the way I prep sessions. Starting, so you see I have my setup of bullet points. But even before that, what I do personally is I'll have an idea in mind. So in the Vampire campaign, starting from like the very, very earliest premise, I would even say even like past, like beyond, like pre this. Well, we have let me see. Some people got mad at me for changing the system. I only added targeting body parts. That's such a weird thing to get angry at. All right, so this is just a new doc. So this is where I'm just going to be typing some of my thoughts out, and then we'll go back and forth between the live example and this doc. If you wonder why I wrote beef, is because when I write notes, I'll write like beef as a placeholder word, and I don't know why. So the big thing is I really like session 0 For people who do not know, session 0 is the idea before the very first session happens. You get to the players together and you do a lot of like prep work before session, effectively. What this means is the players will get together, you go over expectations, you build characters together, you kind of figure out what it's going to be about. Session 0 gang rises up. Yeah. It's pretty, especially great with new systems too. Yeah. Definitely. I love session. So here's the thing. You don't actually have to have a full on like sit down at the table. This is going to be all we're doing tonight. I think considering that most groups these days have like discords and chats and whatnot, it's a very important element of, I think the fact that you can have all these means of communication means you don't actually have to do one. It was all your players fall asleep and forget everything you said before session. I'm sorry to hear that, Mundo. That sounds fucking awful. It's usually not like that if things are going right, but sometimes it's just, your game is going to be as good as your players, so sometimes you just got to really watch out who you're played with. I will say, this is actually going to be some really important advice. Just because someone is your friend doesn't mean you should play tabletop role-playing games with them. And this is going to sound weird, because I will also advocate that ideally your first couple of games should be with people you're familiar with. The reason why I say these two contradictory things, I have friends that I love to death. They're great people. I have a miserable time playing tabletop games with them. They have like bad, wrong, fun ideas, or they just aren't invested. I've played with people who I'm total bros with, but whenever they just sit down and play, they just kind of veg out. It's just not their thing, and like forcing them doesn't work for anyone. So that's just a little bit of advice there. Here's my Tiefling Samurai from Elven Land in my South American setting, because everyone has the same idea. Yeah, exactly. So to explain, so session 0. So here's kind of like the benefits of session 0. Building the party. The reason I'm mentioning this, sometimes people will just make characters separately, right? And if I feel like if you're doing it wrong, this is a scenario I've seen happen a couple of times. Everyone builds their characters separately. Maybe there'll be some very light communication to make sure like the party isn't rocking like two wizards or something like that. But what I think you should do on the session 0 is everyone kind of, if you don't mechanically build your character there, at least get like the concepts together. Because what you can do here is make sure that like everybody's on the same wavelength. For instance, if you're playing a party of all goody two shoes and someone's playing a 2-edgy 4U tiefling rogue that likes to stab people and drink and smoke and is just like, is going to just fuck everything up. Actually, I should double check what my Curious Cat. I think I mostly just got Echo trolling me in my Curious Cat, so I'm just going to ignore that. Why are you so pog, Echo? Thanks. I always put up Curious Cats. I always get like weird responses for those. It takes 30 minutes of campaign to realize my ex have a very different idea. Exactly. There's some people like you want to make sure everyone's on the same wavelength when you play campaigns. And sometimes that's easy to do. Sometimes it's hard. I found that playing with VTubers is actually extremely easy because generally most people give off a aura of what they're about. And I've had great success for that. But anyway. So the big reason you want to build your party together, you want to make sure that everyone's like on the same wavelength. You want to make sure there's no clashes. I also really advocate having the party members know each other before the session. Wait, so Echo is asking the real question. Yeah, the hard hitting VTuber journalism. But so here's a scenario I've seen before. This is what I consider a bad setup. So the party comes together. They're in like a tavern or a event or happens. And they're a party of 4 to 5 random chuckle fucks. They don't know each other. A grand event brings them together. And then what? These are people that would normally not hang together. They would not. Also, if you see my eyes closing, it's just because my microphone. These people would not hang together. They hate each other. And the only reason they're together is because all the players can see the invisible I'm a player character badge on top of their heads. And usually what happens that way is sometimes you run into a lot of scenarios of like, I'm going to screw over the party because that's what my character would do. AKA every dick-ass rogue who just steals from the party. You get shit like that. You also get people who are just like really gruff and like people like like lone wolves don't work in group settings. I'm going to say that. I know lone wolves are a big component of like fantasy and fiction. When you try to have some guy play a lone wolf because he built his character separate and then gets introduced to a party of people who are supposed to be, if not necessarily friends, but at least like companions at the very minimum, it gets real awkward. It gets real bad. So exactly, Amber, you already got it. Exactly. It's I've ran into that before, and it's real bad. So another part of this is we've mentioned briefly. It's setting the tone, and this also kind of goes into things to include and avoid. You can't have all the party know each other. Exactly. Stockshot, that's a good point. You don't have to necessarily have all of them have to be friends, but having a web of characters who know each other is very handy. Like at the very least, acquaintance of an acquaintance is pretty cool. If you're familiar with the system Fate, not any relationship to the hit escargot simulator / waifu gacha franchise. The first one's gonna be a real deep fucking joke, but basically there's a system called Fate, and part of the character building process in that system I really like says that there should be connections between 2 other party members for each character, and it's really builds group cohesion. It's really handy. But so as far as setting the tone goes, it's basically you want to make sure that like everyone, like the campaign is the kind of campaigns people want to play. This is when it kind of comes back to what Stockshock said. Different ideas of what makes role playing fun. You want to make sure everyone's on the same page. Imagine characters not knowing each other and them being low. God, that sounds awful. I could run Fate actually. I've ran into some issues when I've ran Fate in the past where it just didn't work right. Like the gameplay loop of Fate, in my experience, is building a fat stack of advantages and then having one character pop them all and just blow out the enemy. I'm sure I could house rule it to fix that, but it's not a bad idea, Stockshock. That's actually not a bad idea. I might look into that. But so setting the tone is very important because you want everyone to make sure that this is the campaign we're going for, and this is what I expect of everybody. For instance, if you're playing, here's a very good example. Let's say I'm running Dark Heresy. Dark Heresy is a 40k RPG. It's going to be grim. It's going to be dark. It's going to be sad. People are going to die. If someone tried to go into there as like getting really attached to their character and like really against violence and like really against a lot of stuff that's kind of based on the 40k setting, they're not going to have a fun time. Other players aren't going to have a fun time. Make sure to kind of axe that out as well. If you do the session 0, you can kind of prevent that issue from happening. What to try at some point is have the characters make 2 characters, 1 main character, and a random concept. Oh shit, that sounds pretty cool. Doing some weirdo stuff like that's fun, where it's like you get not weirdo. Where's the wrong word? I guess extra fun alternative stuff. Semi about like basically letting the players build their own NPCs. I have. Well, we defeated goblins, attacked a caravan. We defeated the goblins that attacked the caravan we're all traveling in. Now let's never talk to each other again. All right, fuck off. Goodbye. Goodbye, you all. I'm going back to my elven woods. Tra-la, tra-la, tra-la. I don't know why I decided to do it. I guess this is my fake elf voice. Ha ha, ha ha, I'm an elf. Ha ha, ha ha. Look at me, I'm an elf boy. Ha ha. This is fucking stupid. Oh, I hit the wrong button. So also part of this that I really, for things to include and avoid. So if players think things are cool, this is where literally a campaign you ran. Would single stream one-shots work as VTuber collabs? I've seen it work. I don't think he streams anymore, but I was part of a couple from a VTuber named Slightly DM that seemed pretty good. At least for me, and I'm currently working on a VTuber collab one-shot right now for Necronica, which that should be happening at some point. Yeah, slightly. I don't know where Slightly's been lately. I need to check up with him at some point. But Slightly's a really good dude. But yeah. So one-shots I do think are pretty good ideas, especially if you're trying to get new people into trying tabletop role-playing games. I think one-shots are a good way to do that. That Necronica, indeed, Pig D20, the famous Japanese zombie anime girl horror game. I am running that a one-shot with 4 VTubers. Assuming I know people you're probably going to recognize all of them, and you're probably going to be happy with the choices. We're still in the character building stage of that. So that's the fun thing about doing this stream, is that a lot of people all this information is very fresh in my mind because I literally did this Thursday. I went through this whole thing. So other stuff, things to include and avoid. This is not specific things. When is that coming? I don't know. I want to shoot for the end of May, but we have some players that we need to get all their stuff finalized, and then I need to set a time. Once more, I'm struggling between 2 whole different continents worth of players. So that might give you guys a hint. I don't know. But we'll find out. When that's. Well, you guys will be. I will post on the Twitter. Which, if you guys want my Twitter, I think you guys probably all my Twitter. This is where I'll post it. Say I haven't orchestrated, just ignoring and leave. Sometimes that is a way as a way to like push the characters who are being like particularly dodgy. Though in general, for me, like I've noticed that a lot of times, legitimately, if you have a problem with a player, just let them know. Let them know. Just be like, hey, bud, listen. You're being an asshole. You're making things less fun for everyone. Because I'm of the stance that like we're all adults. We're all playing a fun pretend game as adults, and we're here to have fun. And either you have fun or you can leave. That's it. So I haven't really had to do that too often. I've mostly had it happen in campaigns I've been in where we've told a player to kind of stop being a dick, and it worked. What is 410 love situations? What is 410 love situations? What? Did I write that somewhere? Is that somewhere? Nani? What do you mean 410 love situations? Being a VTuber and a GM isn't too bad. I'm good at balancing. Oh, a player sent me a chart of what I could use. Wait, there was a love situations chart? God, that sounds fucking... That's a bit much. That sounds a bit wild. I don't go that far. Generally, like, I'm pretty open for, like, what I let my players do. But I don't think I'd ever, like, have a full-on chart. That's a bit much. Oh, but... So I want to go back just a little bit. So things to avoid and include... generally, if players like something, I like to put in a campaign. This is going to be a very goofy example, but I think this is a very fun one. I think it's a good way to illustrate a point. Oh God, they sit the two. I'm so sorry. That sounds super annoying. So as an example, everyone, if you guys know Yodo, she is a VTuber. She is a known love of DILFs. And so I made sure to include one in the first vampire session as a victim. And it sounds very little because it doesn't necessarily affect the story and it doesn't really change anything. But it's the little stuff that like if players get pandered to, the wife and Yado indeed. Base Dilf Enjoyer indeed. Here's the funny thing. I found out about Yodo a long time ago. Because she made a video where she sung Baka Mi Tai with the header quote, when you realize that all of your husbandos are 40 plus, and I laughed my tits off for a solid 5 minutes. And the fact that I eventually ran a tabletop campaign for her is still one of my favorite things ever. It's so fucking funny. Yeah, Amber is the stuff to remember. Yeah, personally, because like for me, the biggest part about D&D and like tabletop role-playing games, I've ruined my own mental vocabulary. When I play tabletop role-playing games, I really enjoy that, like the personalization, the fact that you can really cater to everybody. And I think that's a real strong point. So as a GM, I like to do that. I like to include things people like. And then for things to avoid, this isn't like a huge deal, but usually more so when you're interacting with people you're not super well known for, like you don't know very well. So this is where you say like, I don't know, this is gonna be an example. Let's say someone's terrified of spiders. You go like, hey guys, I'm gonna run a campaign. Is there anything you really don't want to see in there? In general, this also like I also clarified too during the vampire thing. I was like, you guys don't need to worry about this, but there's not going to be like a lot of like graphic sex stuff in there. I mean, like Yodo's character Arya fucks a lot in the vampire campaign, but there's not going to be me going like full ERP during that. ERP is short for erotic roleplay. And I'm not going to do that on stream. I'm not going to do that. But sometimes it's good just to let people, if someone's like literally, I don't know, I want to be comfortable. I want the players to have a fun time. And if I don't know, they're afraid of giant spiders or whatever, and like that's just going to ruin the session for them, I'll avoid spiders. I got a fucking monster books for days. I can make a monster like just pulling out my ass, super easy. It does not take much. So this is where I sort of avoid that. So yep. So building the party, setting the tone, and scheduling. This isn't going to be as flashy as the other ones, but scheduling is very important. Scheduling is probably one of the hardest parts. Scheduling is the thing that will kill a campaign if you don't get that shit sorted. You want to make sure your schedule's consistent. You want to make sure it's very easy. Ideally, you want to make sure, never go full RP on saucy situation. Well, okay, I won't ever do it on stream, and there's actually nothing wrong if people do that in their own campaigns, but make sure everyone's fucking on board. If two people start like getting very graphic and everyone else wants not, they don't want anything that graphic, that's just going to make the whole session very weird. Don't do that. Scheduling starts it. Scheduling is very difficult. Scheduling is very difficult. I've as a VTuber especially, here's the funny thing. In my life before VTubing, as just a elf that just went home, hung out with friends occasionally, painted miniatures quietly to himself while watching like Mandalore videos as background noise, and then just occasionally playing video games. I had no need for a schedule. My life was very free and open. And once I became VTuber, it's just like, fucking schedules. I gotta keep a calendar now. Holy shit. But scheduling is very important for campaigns, because you need everyone, you need enough people to be there. And ideally you want everyone to be there. And if that can't necessarily happen, it's going to be kind of a bummer. So that is why I recommend session 0. And then this is going to be prepping for the first session. Let me see. Trouble scheduling. It's easier if it has the initiative to answer my questions. Yes. Scheduling has killed more campaigns than the Black Plague. Indeed. Groups have done a thing more than Fade to Black. Yeah, fading to black is a good example if things get too saucy. For people who don't know the terminology, fade to black is sort of like a movie technique where it's like if you have a PG-13 movie and like a spicy couple's making out and they're about to do the sex, the screen will just kind of fade to black and then it'll kind of fade back into existence later. That's a good technique to use for if things get particularly too spicy. Oh yeah, schedule awareness has been super good. Imagine design your sleep cycle around your Oshi. I mean, that's very admirable. Just make sure you get your sleep at the end of the day. The Black Plague was a thing before TRPGs. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, we don't know that. I remember seeing somewhere that like there was like Egyptian D20s somewhere, or maybe they were Roman D20s. I don't think they used them for role-playing purposes, but I do like the idea that those dice existed. All right. So, actually, I think I'm going to go back. Go back a little bit to session 0. I'm going to say, here's something, group world building. And this isn't necessary, but this is how I personally have a lot of fun running my games. I like to have, there's a lot of DMs. And like if you're running a module or whatever, pre-written adventure, this isn't really going to pertain to you. But I basically do all of mine from scratch. I don't like running modules if I have a choice. They're very restrictive to me personally. But however, I do like getting players involved in the world creation process. So I'm going to go back as an example to the vampire campaign, actually. So when I initially was thinking about running vampire, I did not think of doing it in the Prohibition era 1920 Chicago. That wasn't my initial idea at all. I was just thinking a modern day thing. But as the characters kind of built their party, we were joking and talking, we were having a lot of discussion. And then like it got brought up as a joke. We're like, haha, we're basically playing like old mobsters and like detectives and stuff like that. And then I brought up like, hey, do you guys want to play a noir campaign? And they're like, fuck yeah, let's do that. And that's getting the players like to be part of like the choices of the setting is very important. It's very, very important because you want investment. Investment is a really strong thing you want as a GM. And like there's some systems where that doesn't necessarily work out. Necronica is a very weird example because like the mystery is kind of part of the setting. But for like Vampire or Dungeons and Dragons or Shadowrun even, just getting the players to have some sort of investment in the setting is very important. And to that end, the having player inputs be good, whether it's including like maybe including a village, creating a people. If I had my druthers, I would build a entire setting with the players because I've done that before and it is so fun. And that's also how you break away from typical like rote fantasy. Oh, we got the goblins, we got the dwarves, we got the elves, and they're basically what you expect. We got humans, and we got the evil bad guys, and like that's fine. There's a reason why those are popular is because they're common fantasy shorthand. And if you're a Johnny new player coming into role playing, you need something to latch onto. And Legolas, but with blue hair, is very easy to for them to process. But yeah, I think getting players involved in world creation is very important. And like, I know sometimes it's very hard for GMs to do that because as the game master, you sort of give up, you spend a lot of time and effort and you running things. You don't necessarily want to give up all the kind of like control effectively. Giving up control is a very hard thing for some GMs to do. But I do think there's a lot of payoffs for doing so. Just letting the players leave some mark on the setting even before this the game begins, I think is very, very useful. I think it's very, very useful. I think I take your drink. Your Pathfinder world is filled with dumb shit. I mean, long-running settings kind of get filled with dumb shit because that's just the nature of long-running settings. It's just in jokes on top of in jokes on top of in jokes on top of in jokes. They just kind of pile up forever. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And you can take dumb ideas and you can make them very good. A dumb idea is just a dumb idea is an idea that wasn't properly pitched, I guess. That's probably the best way I could say that. Like, there's a lot of ideas that if you like look at them weird, like. I don't know. Like I'm trying to think of what would be like a good way to explain that. Like, just think it this way: you are always giving control to your players when you ask them to roll. That's also true. That's also true. You're also giving away control to chance, and that's totally out of your control. Unless you have terrible luck. In that case, assume fate is going to fuck you over by letting you roll less than 10. That happens sometimes, and it's not necessarily anything you can really do. It's just sometimes dice luck will fuck you over. Yes, the stars involves the player. Ooh, yeah, that's true. To explain what Pig D20 is talking about, there are a lot of new systems have been based on giving players a little bit more narrative control, which I find very interesting. The Genesis Star Wars Fantasy Flight Games systems, basically what they do, they have a bunch of weird proprietary dice, which are kind of strange. The systems are good. I'm 50-50 on whether I like the dice or not, depending on the day. But the idea is that system might be like you might roll a bunch of dice, and instead of getting like you pass or you fail, it'll be like you fail, but something positive happens, and describe what happens. Another system that kind of does that are the Apocalypse World series of games. A lot of those systems are based around the idea it's like, if you succeed on an action, you dictate what happens next, and it's just kind of based on what makes sense. And I think there's some interesting stuff that comes from that, like kind of methodology. Definitely. Let me see. I know I built the world and add a few conflicts. Yeah. Exactly. You do want to keep that little bit of mystery, but I do think having player investments a big deal. Oh, let me see. Want to try the Star Wars games. The Fantasy Flight system is very interesting. I played it a little bit. One of the groups I played back in before I went to Wizard College, but I was still in Human College. I was part of a short-lived game where let me see. Where basically I was like, what? So my expanded Star Wars universe is very weak. I was basically like the species from the cantina, like the big, like black-eyed, kind of like wrinkly face dude with like the big old flute thing. I was playing one of those as like a criminal dude, and it was really fun. The system's very fun. Oh yeah, Apocalypse World's a very interesting system too. When I was looking at that potential like VTuber Kingdom Hearts multiverse system, the interstitial, it's using a modified version of Apocalypse World, which I think would be very good because there's not a lot of math. Basically, Apocalypse World works on a system you roll 2d6, aka 2 6-sided dice, and if you roll if you roll low, you fail. If you roll medium, you succeed, but at a cost. So the GM might say like, oh, you punch a guy, but he gets an opening on you. Or like you manage to convince someone to do something, but they have like a lingering grudge because you were kind of too pushy. And then if you roll very, very high, you basically get to do exactly what you want with no downsides. And I think failing forward is a very interesting concept. The idea of like, just because you fail a roll doesn't mean like everything grinds to a halt. The story keeps going, stuff keeps happening, stuff like that. Oedipus, there is in interstitial, I forget. Oh no, I do know the stats. There's 4 stats in interstitial. And get this. The stats are light, darkness, heart, and mastery. Those are the 4 stats in interstitial. It is such a ripoff of Kingdom Hearts that they use Sora, Riku, and Kairi as the names of the sample characters. Like, they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck that they basically made a published Kingdom Hearts fan game. It is the funniest shit. It is very, very amusing. Oh god, this is super fun. It's like it's I do want to run the system at one point. I think that would be fun for like some pickup. I like the idea of doing like one shots to continue a narrative forward, but don't necessarily have the same characters. Like I'm thinking an idea of like doing one where like all of the people are members of like a guild or an organization or something, but that way if some people can't make it or there's like a different cast, they're all building towards the same goal. But if one player has to miss, we could just like basically pull from a pool of players. I think that'd be a good idea. Yeah, I mean, I imagine both Sony and Disney does not give a shit about indie role-playing game companies, but you never know with Disney anyway. Disney doesn't fuck around. They're like Nintendo. They're like, if they don't like what you're doing, like, sorry, bud. Oh yeah, permanent modules. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the idea, like you do want to think that when you do stuff that you want that to carry over and have meaning. That is a little bit of a downside of the one shots because since it's kind of self-contained, everything kind of wraps up and it's done. But yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh, sorry, expect a lot of tangents, but this is also fun because this is besides just me giving a workshop, this is also part Zatsudan. So I'm just having fun chatting about tabletop role-playing games. I've joked about this multiple times, but my joke is that my streams are an excuse for me to inflict my hobbies on other people. I'm having a fucking blast. Yeah, exactly, Stock Shock. If it's cool and it has if it makes the story better, let it happen. I generally go for that too. A game in Aberrant with the same organization. It's become we can make multiple. Oh, Aberrant. Oh, yeah. It's that like superhero system. I have not heard about Aberrant in a longest time. Also, Honk. Hello. How's it going? Right, a party create 3 characters and choose one shots for each of them and let them choose. That'd be cool. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things you could do with like preparing multiple characters or having swap about parties. I've always wanted to do a game where everyone makes characters, but then at the end, once all the characters are made, you actually pass off the character sheet to someone else, and then they roll the character. I need a very specific group for that, but I think it'd be a very interesting idea. And the other characters in a one shot become characters. Oh yeah, that'd be super cool. I might have to steal some of these ideas. This seems really fun. I do think that having all the party members be part of the same organization would be very handy because like the ultimate trust fall. Exactly. It's because like scheduling for VTubers is hard, and I would like to have more persistent campaigns that I keep running. But I'm just gonna take a screenshot of that idea. The problem is that like if I had my way, I would be running a role playing game session every week, and I haven't quite gotten the momentum on that yet. But I would like to, and maybe at some point that'll be a reality. I would very much like that to happen. All right, so. I was like, first of all, taking off blanket because I'm actually hot now. I'm not necessarily feverish, but I'm still kind of alternating between hot and cold as of all today. Other than that, I'm doing pretty good. And my drug friends give me ideas for characters. We had that happen too. For some reason, we had when I was playing Pathfinder at a group's house, like it was not like effectively not like a frat house, but like a house filled with frat people that they just lived outside the fraternity. And we had a guy who would come in and watch, and he kept insisting in our Mutants and Masterminds campaign that one of us should play a dog called Chihuahua. That was a dog that had no legs and could only shiver wildly, and it would cause people around it to start feeling sorry for it and pick it up. And I don't know where he was going with that, but he was very drunk. He was very drunk most of the time, but he was very insistent on this idea. Like, he brought it up multiple times. I'm not going to say that was like the most serious Mutants and Masterminds campaign. It was very like goofy superheroes. I was playing a superhero named Girl Scout Man. Girl Scout Man was a Girl Scout who, in order to save her friends from wilderness bears, got gifted the powers of nature and turned into a burly like lumberjack dude. And she was trying to turn back into a regular, just regular girl. But also the cool thing about Girl Scout Man is that all of her Girl Scout badges, she could swap them on her little vest, and each badge had like different powers. It was a very fun character for a very goofy little mini campaign. It was super fun. One of these days I'll just do a whole stream where I just talk about previous characters I ran. I had a lot of good just personal character stories. GMs are yes. Pig D20 exactly. If you steal ideas, if you can steal them from especially like shows and stuff, and if your party has no idea, just fucking just scrub off the serial numbers and they'll never know. You could just take whole ass maps from video games and just make them in your campaign. No one will know. They'll be like, wow, you're good at making maps, and you're just like play a muscle wizard. You could do that. It's really hard to do that in like D&D and Pathfinder, but mutants and masterminds, superhero games especially, have very flexible power systems. You could do muscle wizard very easy. All right, let me take a action. Need a lot more drink. I'm enjoying tonight melon flavored gamer Kool-Aid. It is keeping me very caffeinated because I don't feel like putting on a pot of coffee. All right, so we're going to go a little bit back on track, which once again, I don't mind. I will tangent. If we end up tangenting for the rest of the stream and everyone's having fun, I'm cool with that. I'm super cool with that. This is super fun. God, I feel you. I feel having so many different campaign ideas. Had many characters stolen by a friend. He likes reusing the Wizard of Ounces. What is the Wizard of Ounces? Oh, Mutant Masterminds. It's a very flexible system, very easy to break. It's very fun. It's very fun though. I would recommend looking into it, especially if you like very crunchy superhero systems. It is very crunchy though. So if you're not into like very mechanics heavy games, that's what I mean by crunchy. Crunchy systems are very mechanics heavy. If you're not into that, it's gonna be a little difficult to run Mutants and Masterminds. If you want something a bit simpler to run, there's a superhero system called Masks. It's also based on Apocalypse World. Masks is more about running Teen Titans than it is running like the Justice League, but I've heard really good things about this system. But yeah, so prepping for the first session, what I usually do, this is kind of the process I go through. So I'll have an idea. This is going to be really dumb looking advice. How much on a crunchy scale of Shadowrun? On a scale from 1 to 10, Shadowrun is a fucking goddamn 14. Shadowrun, in my experience, is a college textbook that makes you dumber to read it because you have to spend a lot of effort learning things that only apply to Shadowrun. I love Shadowrun as a world, and every time I've actually looked into running Shadowrun, I ran a campaign of Shadowrun for like 10 sessions, and it was fucking miserable. It was just so much like my mechanical minutia. I did not have fun. I did not have fun running it. Is it 14 or 14 D6? Exactly. So many buckets of D6s. There's a lot of I don't know, because like I remember we had a Technomancer and a Decker in the party, and like having them basically do the same thing but with wildly different systems was just too much for me. A Rhino Man who can create tornadoes by fire. Yeah, Mutants and Masterminds. It's like I said, it's flexible like that. Oh God, Exalted. I love Exalted as an idea. I did play one of my favorite tabletop moments ever was in Exalted. I was playing a Twilight cast Solar Exalted. I think like the ones it's more like Thiefy. I think it was Twilight. I think it was a Twilight one. Don't quote me on this. And as a character, he was really good at stealing things. I had all of my charms based on stealing and thievery. And at one point we were at a party and a very important person got poisoned. And none of us were doctors, but I had these two powers. I had the power to see through objects, and I had the power to steal anything I could see, even if I didn't have direct contact. So I stole the poison out of this man through clever use of abilities. We saved him. It was the dumbest thing ever, and I love it. It's cemented, and it's in my hall of fame of like things I've done in role-playing games. For people who don't know, Exalted is a system. The best way to say it, it's like sort of like wuxia, a high-powered anime karate action in a superhero-esque power level world. It is a very silly system. It is also very crunchy. I have not looked at 3rd edition, though. I only played 2nd edition, so maybe they fixed that. I don't know. But yeah, that's the kind of bullshit. Like Exalt is a system where you can get powers to jump over mountains, and like you can punch someone so hard that they forget about like that they were born. It's a very weird system. It's very fun. I think actually Mutants and Masterminds could run Shadowrun. I do know that there's other like I know Shadowrun Anarchy is a thing too. I don't think Pathfinder would be a good fit for Shadowrun though. I think Mutants and Masterminds would be a better fit than Pathfinder. I'm trying to think what would be my ideal system to use for Shadowrun instead. I know there's like a couple of good new cyberpunk systems made recently, but I just haven't looked at them. Called Hyperlanes as an option to create an alien race. I have not looked at Hyperlanes. I might have to check that out later. Might have to check that out. Yeah, Exalt is a lot of fun. It's another one of those very crunchy systems. It's very hard to run, but it's very good. It's a Shadowrun wizard who adult designer. Oh, okay. That makes sense. That is a cool idea, Oedipus, actually. That's what it comes down to. There's a lot of cool stuff in Shadowrun, but the system I hate it. I hate running it. I hate it. Consum Nubian to run D&D 3.5. I mean, D&D 3.5 is more hardcore than like 5th edition. Whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know. I like things that came from the later end of 3rd edition when they were really experimenting and trying some cool new things. Early 3rd edition was a train wreck, and about 90% of all the stuff in there is hot garbage. But boy, is that 10% real interesting. That's my 3rd edition. I do sometimes want to sit down and do a whole stream dedicated to me talking about 3rd edition, because there's still some good stuff in there. And about this time, 3rd edition's what, like 15 years old, maybe? No, I think it came out in 2001. Or 3rd edition did. 3.5, I think, was like 2006. It's old enough that I think I could introduce a lot of people to some cool forgotten shit. Oh yeah, the splat books were interesting, but like, yeah, actually, running it was less of a nightmare than Shadowrun. But so people who are raised on 5th edition, you might notice that like so 5th edition is very light on character options. You have like a couple of things. They mostly make their money these days selling adventures. But what they used to do is they used to release what are kind of known as splat books, which are effectively like expansion pack supplement books with character options. And Pathfinder still kind of does this to a certain degree. And 3rd edition released a whole lot. So that means everyone wanted to play something from one of these expansion books, and things started getting really fucking screwy, especially because they weren't balanced. I would say Exalted's probably a 9. A lot of Exalted is in building the characters themselves. Once you get the characters built, you can kind of just go. You can just kind of run things, and it's mostly okay. Combat's a little difficult too, but it's not. I think maybe more like an 8. I don't know. I haven't fully thought out this sliding scale. Oh yeah, character creation in Shadowrun's pretty fun too. It's pretty fun. There's so much. I love the idea of Shadowrun. I'd like to do it. You gotta head out. Oh, it's all good. It's all good, Amber. I'm glad you stopped by. And then also, I'm going to put this on YouTube at some point too. So if anyone's missing out on these various rants and session building stuff, this will be available later. 19 3.5 books to source options from. Oh yeah, I have all right, we're going to do a quick game called How Many 3rd Edition source books does Hal have? Let's find out. I have 23, I think. I might need to shuffle around my collection, but I think I have at least 23. I have definitely in the 20s. What's going on with those jars of jelly beans? Like, yeah, guess the number, win a prize. Yeah, it's around there. Unfortunately I have some like books covering other books, so I can't really get a good look. I think I have at least 20 because I have some others in a different room too. I like to just like read monster manuals when I'm bored. They're very fun. But okay, yeah, it sucks. Like you guys are actually both very close. You guys are both very close. Yeah. If you only have 10-year characters, probably. Yeah, 5th edition was sort of made. I think 5th edition was made because, from what I can tell, Wizards was operating, and maybe is operating on D&D with like a skeleton crew. Maybe that's improved since then, but from what I understand, they really downsized between 5th and 4th edition. So a lot of the actual like stuff is pretty. That's why the release cycle is pretty low. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna cut this tangent a little bit short because I like 4th edition, but they released it poorly. Also. Okay, I literally just said I'm going to cut this tangent, but I have to explain something you guys don't know. there's a very interesting story behind 4th edition that people don't know that did sabotage part of it. If you got a very early version of 4th edition, like I did, because I'm a hardcore gamer, there is a thing in the back of the book that's like, we're going to have a online character builder and 3D play environment. And this would have been before Roll20. This would have been the ground floor for playing role-playing games online. Here is the problem, though. The guy who is, from what I understand, there is primarily one guy who was developing it, or like primarily one guy was developing it, or he was part of a team and basically did most of the work, or like they couldn't decipher his work. What happened was the dude eventually killed his whole family and then himself, thus crippling that entire aspect of 4th edition D&D by himself. It's not super common knowledge because there's no way you would ever know. Let me see if I can find like a formal article on that. If I see 4th edition, D&D, murder, suicide. Let's see if I can give you the actual stuff. Okay, so I think it was from what I understand, I think the guy's name is Joseph Batten from I'm doing a quick look online. Yeah, it's who was that guy? So mind you, I'm looking very quickly at a core article. This guy seems to be pretty seems to have a pretty good breakdown on that. God, that fucking link does not work. But basically, it sounded like, apparently, according to this, he was the senior manager of the technology projects for Wizard of Coast. Let me see. Ooh, yeah, that's real fucking dark. So yeah. Now you know what happened to it. Yeah, it was. It's not something that has really gotten out. Like, unless you're like really hardcore in a tabletop role playing game. I'm not really hardcore into the history, but I've been a big proponent of 4th edition for a while because I liked the way the party rolls were, and I liked Starshock is right. 4th edition marshals were the fucking bomb. You had fighters who could do like really interesting things, like Warlord. If you haven't gotten a chance to play Warlord, ooh baby, it's so good. It is the best melee class you'll ever play because it's a character. It's like a frontline battle commander. You're like yelling at your teammates to like get up and punch foes, and you're just clubbing dudes in the head and inspiring your party. Oh, it's such a good class. People in 5th edition will never know the pure joy. They like Battlemaster Fighter. If you're familiar with that in 5th edition, you're like, that's pretty cool. Imagine if they made Battlemaster Fighter way better. Oh, I haven't heard Weeaboo Fighting Magic in so long. I'm so glad that you guys are all like on the same page. Battlemaster's pretty cool, but Warlord is so much cooler. Warlord is so good. It is much better. It's like legitimately it will change your life. You will be sad looking at 5th edition if you looked up some of the things they left behind in 4th edition. It's real tragic. It's real tragic. And I don't think it's good. I don't entirely blame that dude, the murder suicide dude from making that happen, but there was a lot of good stuff in there. Oh yeah, Book of Nine Swords is really important. Tome of Magic also. Tome of Magic basically influenced the idea of like encounter powers. Best things in 5th edition. I don't know actually. I'm gonna be real. I don't run 5th edition too much. I have the basic books. I got one book, like not Mordekainen. It's like Tasha's Tome of a bunch of bullshit. I got that because I'm friends with one of the local game shops near me. I wanted to buy something from them during COVID because I wanted to support them, and I couldn't think of anything, so I just bought a D&D book. Hello, how's it going? But yeah, I don't know. I don't really think about 5th edition too much. It's not really my Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. I own that book, but I've never really gave it a good read because 5th edition is not really my cup of tea. Oh yeah. I'm Mario. I like all those ideas. Honestly, I love shit like that. What are we doing? We're okay. Ostensibly, I'm doing a breakdown on how to game master like D&D and other tabletop role playing games. It's kind of turned into a weird like history of D&D nostalgia fest, which I'm enjoying very greatly. Like, once again, the fact that I think, Mario, were you the one who mentioned Book of Weeaboo Fighting Magic? That takes me way the fuck back. Oh, that was so one very interesting thing about Dungeons and Dragons is there's two very, no one really knows what to do with Fighter. I'm gonna be real. Fighter is a class that you have a sword and you hit things with sword, and people can't decide whether they want Fighter to be some schlub with a sword and a shield, or if they want him to be like fucking the Doom guy with a sword and a shield. And the fact that those two factions cannot agree means that like no one will ever really come to a consensus of what they want Fighter to be. Everyone's going to be angry. Fighter's never going to necessarily work. And that's sort of the problem. That's sort of a problem, I think. Champion is ironically your favorite fighter. I don't know if I've seen Champion off the top of my head. It's okay, but I'm not experienced other system. That's fair. That's fair. Like I said, 4th edition is my favorite D&D, I think, but I do like other systems more than D&D in general. This includes Pathfinder too. Pathfinder is basically D&D. Pathfinder split off from D&D due to the transition between 3rd and 4th edition, and it might as well just be seen as the Pepsi to D&D's Coke. D&D monsters really underpowered and bare. Yeah, you generally, I tweak monsters quite a bit when I run them too, because I don't want them to explode super easy. All right. I tangented myself super hard on that, so we're gonna go a little bit back to this. We'll keep chatting though. We'll keep chatting. So what I do when I prepare for the first session, there's not a lot of meat in the 5th edition monster manual. There's really not. So when I prepare my first session, I'll generally have like a very rough idea. I'll probably have a rough idea. So like during the vampire session, Fantasy Craft is the RC Cola, I think, or maybe like one of those like I don't know, maybe like one of those like obscure hipster colas that's run by like a small brewing company that's like really good, but no one will ever hear about it, so people don't know about the stuff. Back in my day, hags were born by crib swap and kidnapping. Did they change that about hags? Because that's some fucking bullshit if they did. That's some fucking bullshit. So, first session, have a rough idea. So to give you an idea, for the initial vampire session, here's all the ideas. God, that's some fucking bullshit. Here's sort of the ideas I had initially. So it's gonna be like, there's gonna be a mob. There's gonna be the Pete's Club. Let me see. Actually, hit the wrong button. So my ideas were start at Pete's Club. I wanted the fight with the horse with the meat. I'm gonna write the meat monster. It's Slotcha, but I cannot think of how to spell Polish off the top of my head. I'm gonna say meat monster. I wanted a feeding scene, and then I'm trying to think of what else I had ideas to. And then I wanted I wanted the party to deal with some cops. Just like some neutral NPCs. So this is sort of like the rough idea what I had. Oh, they eat babies and they poop a baby. That's less fun. That's less fun. I liked it when creepy old ladies were just like, I'm using my magic powers now. Haha, hag baby, haha, I'm out. That's the weirdest way I could describe that, but you guys get what I mean. So these were sort of the ideas when I had it. You'll notice that's not a lot. And then here's sort of how I kind of expand on that. And then this is good. This is like my secret sauce. This isn't like particularly unique to me, but this is something that I find. Make a music playlist. I strongly recommend doing this step. What I love doing when I prep campaigns, I'll put together a playlist of at least 10 songs, ideally maybe 15 or 20. And these just get me into the mood. For instance, when I was playing Vampire, I put together a list of Vampire Noir tunes. And like whenever I would listen to that when I'm like cleaning the house or like driving to the Wizard Guild or even just painting, I would put that playlist on and I'd let the ideas just kind of percolate and seep and just kind of think on that. So from there, I was like, I really want them to fight a Slotcha. How do I build the encounter for that? Oh, ruin down tenement house. Okay, how do I like really kind of sell? How would that tenement house look? And that's sort of how to like I fed into those ideas. They snowball off of each other. It's a good way to take your like over analytical stuff. Any particular artists you recommend for music? Let me see. So in general, I try to match the genre of whatever I'm playing. If I don't have a genre in mind, I usually listen to synthwave. In that case, I can tell you the artists I usually listen to for just general synth. let me see. Dance with the Dead is probably my biggest one. Dance with the Dead. If I don't have any particular like I said, if I don't have a particular genre in mind, I'll usually go for Dance with the Dead. Also, Spotify has been very slow. I have my playlist on Spotify. I'll share it at some point. I need to put together maybe like a YouTube playlist I can share with you guys. But Dance with the Dead is sort of like my premier stuff. Video game OSTs are very good too. Especially because video game OSTs can sometimes nail the mood for a campaign that you can't really do with like music, if that makes any sense. For me, video game OSTs are music, but like they hit different. I'm assuming you meant to type lo-fi there, Stock Shock. I hope you meant lo-fi there. But let me see. Dance with the Dead. Let me see if I can find. Why can I not find that playlist? Let me see. God, let me give this one more shot. Please work. Yeah, let me see if I can find. Let me see. Dance with the Dead Invader. There's one particular song of theirs. Let me see. Let me mute this. Mute. All right. This song in particular, like, there's something about it that like really, really gets my creative juices flowing when I'm just thinking of ideas. Let me see. Got a lot much. Oh, Pathfinder, the King. Yeah. Anything that like matches the tone of what you look for. I think fantasy games in particular would really like if you're running just like a typical fantasy campaign. Stuff from Pathfinder, Kingmaker, Dragon Age would be really good. Use Pokemon songs. Pokemon's got a fantastic soundtrack too. You can do like anything from just like happy jams to like the Gestus theme or Gestus, whatever his name. The one that's basically like Dennis. I can't even remember how to sing that one. Need to cook pizza. Bye, Daddy Hal. I'll be back later. Well, enjoy your pizza, Stock Shock. I'm probably going to be trucking for a while, so I should be back. And if not, have a good pizza, and then I will definitely put this on VODs too. So. Did I just hear Pokemon RPG Tour? Ooh, Gestus by name, Dennis by heart. You guys know what I'm talking about. The OST for Gestus' theme sounds like Dennis. I will. Okay, this is actually a good thing to mention. It is very tempting to roll a Pokemon. This is going to be very serious. People want to run Pokemon role-playing games. The idea is very fun. Nintendo wastes a lot of potential Pokemon has by not fully utilizing it. However, when you look up Pokemon role-playing games, there's two you're going to see. Pokemon Tabletop Adventure / Pokemon Tabletop United. I think one evolved out of the other. I think Unite is the new one. I will say Pokemon Tabletop United is a very mechanically dense system that is very, very bloated and very, very rocket taggy. It's a system that tries to do everything Pokemon has ever done by mimicking the games entirely, and then also including everything that's ever showed up in the show, everything that's ever showed up in the games, like from a trainer perspective, like trying to match every possible type of trainer. It is going to drive you fucking bananas, especially because they also want you to track experience. They want you to track breeding chances. They want you to have a whole party of 6 people, Pokemon per player. It's a lot of work. If you are looking for a Pokemon system that won't drive you fucking batshit bananas insane, let me recommend this one real quick. This is called Pokeroll. The benefit about Pokeroll is it doesn't try to be an exact one-to-one replica of the game, which is a benefit. There's not a lot of bookwork. It's less rocket taggy than Pokemon Tabletop United. It's a much better system. I've ran probably more Pokemon Tabletop United than Pokeroll. I would strongly recommend Pokeroll if you're doing a Pokemon game. It is legitimately, it will save you a bunch of headaches. Strong recommend. I cannot recommend harder. Because like a Pokemon Tabletop United at full tilt is borderline Shadowrun in terms of stuff. I was just thinking of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Had weird quirky stuff. Pokemon's changing types. I think Pokemon Tabletop United has that because they have literally, if it's been a Pokemon thing, Pokemon Tabletop United has it. If you don't mind the crunch and you want to be able to like pick and choose, you could probably do some stuff. If you are using Pokemon Tabletop United, here's some suggestions I would recommend strongly. First off, ask your players what Pokemon they want. This is going to sound really dumb. Don't try to do like random encounters. Don't try to pad out a lot of things. They should never have to grind. Ditch experience entirely. Go entirely on milestone-based level ups. And just get like periodically, like as the story progresses, introduce the Pokemon the players want to see. And like you don't necessarily have to. You can include some other Pokemon that the players don't necessarily like are gung ho for. Like who knows? Like maybe you could get into a campaign and like someone who likes cutesy Pokemon might get introduced to a Grimer and they might fall in love. You never know. That might be like a turning point. Like I'm a uwu trainer, but I've attached myself to this gross Pokemon and I love them now. However, people generally do have Pokemon they want to see when they run Pokemon campaigns, and it does really bring up the investment to kind of have those. I love Grimer. I love Alolan Grimer and Muck especially. I love that like oil spill look. That looks really good. To be fair, Mario, I had to learn this the hard way because I tried to run everything straight, and then the more I ran Pokemon Tabletop United, the more stuff I had to homebrew and sketch out. I would also say too, something you want to do, if you want to try to do a boss, limiting teams, I did that as well, limiting teams to 3 Pokemon at the max. And then you also need to find a system to justify why everyone doesn't just dump all their Pokemon out. Because in the show, they do one at a time because they're playing by imaginary TV show rules. But when you're interacting with players, they'll just want to just like go full tilt all the time. And you're going to need to come up with like a story justification or something why they can't throw everyone out. Bosses too. And generally when it comes to role-playing games, bosses, what you do to make a boss powerful is you give them, you make them a bit stronger than the players. But Pokemon Tabletop Unite is so rocket taggy that if you make a stronger boss, there's a chance it'll just wipe out everybody with no remorse. Deny players if they want to. Oh, you try to, oh, the fact that you made me laugh at that is already just like showing my power level in a way that I'm not comfortable with. I'm comfortable with it. It's just funny. I don't even want to explain that one. Unless you redeem for the no, I don't even want to do that if you redeem the copy paste. So that's one I'm not going to do. But yeah, so for bosses for like the Pokemon Tabletop United, you want to don't buff their stats, buff their hit points a little bit, and make sure that when they do attacks, make all of their attacks target multiple Pokemon. That's the best way in my experience to make a boss work in Pokemon Tabletop United in a way that's not too rocket taggy and still kind of works. Here's a fun thing you can do as a Gamemaster too. If you're making your players fight a boss and you feel like they're killing it too quickly, behind the scenes secretly give it more hit points. They'll never know. And for me, a boss that like lasts a decent amount of time feels way better than a boss that gets killed too quickly. I think I feel like that's a way I usually make bosses kind of more intimidating, is I'll give them more hit points if I feel like they need more hit points. So in the Pokemon Tabletop Unite example, like don't go too overboard because the players, quantum hit points, exactly. Because like players will know if you're giving a boss if a goblin suddenly has 40 hit points, they're going to call some bullshit. But if they're fighting like a really cool, intimidating boss, if you just occasionally throw them like 10 more hit points, no one's going to notice and they'll actually think better of it. Heavily Force Laws. If you don't have an approved character ID, you couldn't use Pokeballs and stuff. That's actually really interesting, Mario. I was only able to run this as a one-shot for my local group as an off game. I really like the idea of running a Pokemon-themed cyberpunk game. The idea would be in a like dystopic cyberpunk world where Pokemon were basically like all of the good Pokemon were kept by an upper class elite, and then all the people in the dredges could only have like real shitty like all the like the Route 1 filler trash Pokemon were the only ones that they could really use, and that like stealing Pokemon was like a big game for what effectively were Shadowrunners, and getting like cracking Pokeballs and stuff like that. Also hacking the way I got on, because Shadowrun is a very like complicated hacking system, and my idea for the Pokemon ones, it would be like how you can upload Pokemon to a PC. In this Pokemon Cyberpunk, what you would do is you just upload your Pokemon to fight, and they'd fight what's essentially a advanced Porygon. And if they defeat the Porygon, they break the security code, and then they can just come in and hack the data. I was really enjoying that. Ooh, Law versus Samara, you want to run Shin Megami Tensei Pokemon Edition, which I'm also on board on. That sounds really fun. I catch you, Whore of Babylon, or what was her name in Nocturne? the fiend that was based on the Horror of Babylon. I remember she did a lot of work for my team, and I cannot think of her name. Daisojo, though. Oh, Daisojo, you carried my ass through Nocturne so hard. That game is very difficult, but you trivialized that shit because I was using Daisojo when he was like 20 levels below all the enemies, and he still fucking came through every time. All right, that's my Nocturne rant. So yeah, that is my little tangent about Pokemon role-playing games. Pokeroll in general would recommend. Take those other bits of advice if you do use Pokemon Tabletop United. Not much people I know play. I really like Nocturne. It was a fun game. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Pokemon game? How the fuck does that work? Are the stands Pokemon? Oh, they can catch stands. Okay, I was thinking the opposite, where it's like, my name is Jotaro. It's like I don't know, Joe Joseph Ketchum, and my stand is fucking Pikachu. Like that's my power, and then you run into people with like, behold my stand, Jigglypuff, and it's just like a hyper realistic Jigglypuff. That sounds goofy as hell, but I would also enjoy that. I like goofy campaigns that are played straight. I think there's a lot of fun potential there. Pokemon Medieval Fantasy would be cool too. Wasn't there I swear that there's a role-playing game series that had like Digimon as the monsters. Was it like Arc the Lad? Was that a thing? Did I hallucinate this idea? I swear that there was one where it was like Digimon were just like the monsters in a typical role-playing game. And that idea sounds really cool. I think Pokemon Medieval Fantasy could be neat too as well. Sorry. Have another drink. See, oh no, it's no longer it's an Abra. I'd be fine if someone had an Abra stand because they just teleport everywhere and they wouldn't do shit. They'd just run away at the first sight of seeing them. But yeah, who knows? Maybe now that I have VTubers as a pool of audience, I'd love to revive that cyberpunk Pokemon game idea. Digimon World 4 is the one where you are maybe was I thinking Digimon? The thing is, I'm thinking of like an actual, just straight up like role playing game. But maybe I was thinking about that. Who knows? If I remember right, there was like straight up humans just beating Digimon. I don't know. Anyway, preparing for the first session. Rough idea: make a playlist, and then what I do is, as you guys have seen here, bullet points. I love bullet points so much. So here's now we're gonna go back to my actual example. Also, I need to can I zoom in? Let's enhance. Let's see, and this is where I'll kind of show you guys how I take notes. So in general, I take very loose notes because, as you know, the typical expression is like most plans don't survive 10 minutes with the enemy. Most campaign notes don't survive 10 minutes with the player characters. So in general, I keep my notes very easy breezy. So like here's like a breakdown of like what I was thinking was going to happen when the players would start. So we start in the Moonflow Club, start in the back room, and then I describe the bar, and that's just how I set the scene. These are two notes that when I run the session, I will look at my notes, and I'll be like, all right, this is what I gotta do. I gotta describe the scenario, and then this kind of gives me the idea. Here's some key ideas. Mention watered down booze, jazz bands. Henry Luc Roch Marquis Saint Andre. I made sure to write down his name. So this is very interesting, is that Yoro actually came into the vampire game with some NPCs she really wanted to be included. So Andre was actually of her creation. So was Victor from session 2, which is very funny because she missed Victor's introduction. Hopefully I'll have them meet again. But this is another instance where I was talking about for player investment. I'm willing to work with the players. If the players want to introduce NPCs, I would be fine with that. Oh yeah, don't ever make detail. You can make detailed ideas. The thing is, what you eventually learn is that the process of being a good GM is finding the minimum amount of effort you need to put into the maximum amount of fun. And that sounds very weird, like I'm talking about being lazy. What I'm actually trying to convey is that you want to minimize the amount of work you do. It's like a work smarter, not harder situation. You don't want to write like 4 pages of detailed like world building and notes, and then let's say your players don't go to the one bar you want. Like that's a bummer. That'll kill your whole night. You're gonna feel like you wasted a bunch of time. But yeah, so here I have like very brief breakdowns of what I want him to kind of say and mention. I don't have any specific phrases here, but I'm mentioning stuff like this. And here's something very interesting about writing things down with bullets too. I'm going to go back to oh boy, this got big. Let me actually, I originally wrote this with huge text because I forgot that I was going to eventually have to zoom in. So let's shrink this back to like size 11. Here we go. Laugh lazy. Less work means you invest in your efforts in actually ruining a game. Exactly though. Yeah, if you because listen, there are certain breeds of GM who are like, I wrote a book and I want you guys to experience my book, but I don't really give a shit whether you actually have fun in this game. And it's something because like it's just a mindset that some GMs have to break out of, and it's real unfortunate, but that's just kind of how it goes. How is so spindly because he's not curling his volumes of GM notes. I used to have GM, like I do like keeping, that's why I like keeping my notes digital these days, is I can look at old campaigns and smile. But yeah, bullet points. So bullet points, you can be like, let's see, evolving story ideas as you write. This is about how you handle a campaign, but the players say it's the best one yet. Well, Mario, that might just be more like imposter syndrome sort of deal, or like the Dunning-Kruger effect. Like players in general are very easy to please. This isn't a negative. A lot of people are very paranoid GMing because they think that the players are going to hate them afterwards. But like legitimately, people who are in your game, they want to have fun and they're willing to work with you. So even though like you might not think you're doing your best, they're going to have fun. And like, don't worry about it as much. I'm looking pretty sus there, Mario. Sorry, that's a fucking stupid joke. Yo, you beat. Okay, never mind. You followed up immediately with that. Give you the freedom, the place to. Yeah. Impasta. The first time I DM players literally broke everything. That happens too. That happens. I'm not going to say that your first session is going to be smooth. My first sessions were ones that I ran. So a lot of these lessons I learned over the course of, I probably have been GMing for borderline 12 years at this point, maybe more at this point. I'd actually have to like sit down and think about it. And like, I've had some bad sessions. I've had some bad campaigns. I've had some bad interactions with players. And sometimes it's just learning and just figuring out what works. My idea with this lecture might just be to kind of give you guys some tips so you can kind of skip some of the mistakes. Quantum Ogre and the Wall of Death Claws, yeah. Does your group want to ignore the Quantum Ogre and farm corn, or start a corn empire? Yes, blood for the blood god, corn for the corn throne. Quantum Ogre is an idea that I've explained a couple of times, but I do want to mention again, is the idea of like, it's not necessarily a bad way of running things. Sometimes it's useful to do, but sometimes it's not. It's the idea with Quantum Ogre. So you want your players to fight an ogre, and you give the players two paths. There's a left path and a right path. Left path is supposed to go to a spooky forest, and the right path will go somewhere else. And you really want them to go left to go into the spooky forest to fight this ogre. But let's say they go right for some reason. You have to... it's all good. I have been thinking about... I do need to start putting like I've seen some VTubers do automatic subtitles, and I would actually like to do that. I think that'd be good. That would also aid multi-stream drifting too. I know some people do that because there's a lot of cool VTubers, and I understand. So I'll have to look into that. But it's just like, don't worry. I'll put this on VOD too if you need to check back later. But yeah, so with the Quantum Ogre, their players would go right, you want them to go left, but then you're like, too bad, fuck you, here's an ogre. I think in that scenario, what you would do is if you don't want your players to have the choice, don't present them one. In this example, there'd be only one reasonable way to go, or plan some contingencies. Basically, because players don't know what's happening in the setting unless you describe it to them. If they don't have any idea of what's going on, they're like, unless you kind of give them the idea, throw some leather rags, a funny hat, and a sack on the ogre and call the bandit. That is actually not terrible advice, Oedipus. You can get a lot of mileage out of reskinning monsters. The idea is like, monsters in general aren't that complex. There's a whole ass monster manuals, but really all you have to know is like, how much health does a thing have? How hard can it hit things? And, ooh, yeah. Nanners fan club. Fuck yeah. I'll be excited to see you in those hallowed halls. So yeah, in general, monsters just need health, hitting stuff, and how hard it is to hit them. And to be honest, you can make up monsters entirely as long as you just know those metrics. It's very easy. It's like when you see a whole ass monster entry, you can also throw out a lot of that. So what that means is you can take a monster that you think would work well. So you'd be like, all right, I want them to fight a big dude. There's like a bunch of bandits and one dude's very big. Now in D&D, you could theoretically say, I'm going to build big dude from scratch. I'm going to give him a class and I'm going to give him a bunch of armor and stuff. Or you could just take an ogre and you could just say, this is a big dude. It's super easy. It'll save you a lot of time and functionally it'll be basically identical. It's a good way to get around that. Player via Phoenix Breeder just reskinned imps for the Phoenix chicks in 5th edition. Oh, that's very cute. I like the idea of having just like a bunch of little flame chickies over describing all the going on. Oh, yeah. Definitely don't front load the plot on the players too much. I usually, in general, gauge how they're interacting with the world and reward their explorations, but don't feel like you need to dump your entire setting on them. This is also another benefit of building your setting with the players. If you build a setting with the players, they'll know more about the world than they would if they were just getting it fed from you. And that also means they kind of know, like the fact that they know about the world means that they're already invested and they actually know, like they don't have to their eyes won't glaze over when you describe it like 100-year war with boats and dragons and whatnot. The Great Dragon Boat War. They'll already know that, and then that'll make the experience easier on them. Halloween one shot. Whole different spooky thing. Yeah, exactly, Semi. That's a great idea. 100%. So that's the way to do it. I'm gonna take another drink. Oh god, I got a little bit of gamer Kool-Aid up my nose. It wasn't like I inhaled it. It's like it splashed weird. That was strange. All right. So back to the bullet point of evolving story ideas as you write. And what that means. So here is going to be something that I'm going to say, don't do as I do in this example. If you ever need to roll for results, but you only want one to happen, use that one. Yeah. I mean, also too, if a die roll would really fuck over the plot, just don't make that die roll happen. Like if things need to happen, sometimes just let it happen, unless it'd be like especially bullshit. I also will say I personally keep all the dice on the table. But when I roll for stuff, I know some people like to roll dice behind the GM screen because in theory, if you roll dice behind the GM screen, you could fudge the dice and change the results. But I'm gonna be real with you guys. Every GM who does this thinks that they're the smartest motherfucker and that the players don't realize they're fudging dice. They do. They know. Maybe most of the players don't know. I know every time I've seen a player who rolls behind a GM screen and they act like they're not fudging dice, I know they are. I 100% know they are. The idea of fudging dice is basically just saying, like, oh no, they would roll they roll the 20 and it's going to crit the character and it's going to kill them. They're going to be like, no, it's a good thing you rolled a 4. And like, I understand why people do that because like sometimes you don't want dice to fuck over your campaign. But I don't know. I'm not a big fan, but like there's pros and cons. Sometimes running games is just like seasoning to taste. You have to figure out what works for you and your group. I like rolling dice on the open. I understand that it's role-playing games are games, and for me personally, part of the enjoyment of playing a role-playing game and a game in general is that there has to be a failure state. You have to be able to lose a game for me to really be invested. So like if my character dies because a random enemy crit me, I'm fine with that. I know some people aren't, and that's totally valid. And death doesn't even have to be the failure state. The failure state could be just like losing something important in game or whatever. Oh yeah. Pig D20's also got a new point. Some DMs also fudge their dice to make their enemies more accurate, and that's also kind of bullshit. But they also don't like it's no people aren't as good at actors as they think they are. In general, that's my experience. But yeah. Oh yeah. So what I was saying earlier. When I run tabletop game, when I prep my sessions, so when we go back to the magical steps, I do these like maybe like a week before the session happens. I think on ideas, I percolate. I said percolate a lot. I kind of just like let these ideas build. When it comes to the bullet points, don't do this, But I basically do this an hour or an hour and a half before session. All of this shit you see here was done an hour before the session. So if you're like, wow, that vampire session seemed really planned out, I pulled that out of my ass probably an hour before we started going. I've seen Howard's players using hard to see translate. Oh, that's some real bullshit. Oh yeah, Stock Shark. That's a good point. Acting. Not everyone. Remember, I think a lot of people are skewed on Critical Role when it comes to acting because they forget first and foremost, most of the Critical Role people are actors. They are trained actors. They do it for a living. Even if they're voice actors, they do it for a living. That's I'm a procrastinating DM. Fuck yeah, I procrastinate on everything. I didn't plan for today's session. I pulled up notes and I ran this. I ran this with no notes. I pulled up Roll20 and I pulled up a blank PDF and I pulled up the vampire doc and I just went for it. Improvisation is something that comes the more experience you get as a GM, and it will really, the more you run games and play games, the easier it'll get to do. The easier time you'll have doing it. That's a better way to say that, but that doesn't sound absolutely stupid. But yeah, a lot of people are spoiled by Critical Role. And here's the thing, like, you don't need to be good at accents. You don't need to be good at acting. If you are very good at acting, don't hold back or anything. But even like if you're bad at accents, there are ways to vary the way characters sound. Like sometimes just speaking in like a softer voice can really change the way a character sounds. And I'm not even putting on an accent then. Or even just putting certain emphasis on different words can really change how a character sounds. You can do stuff like that as well. Or even if a character just talks really fast, like, hey guys, how's it going? I'm this rogue over here. Oh, blah, 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 blah. I gotta go. Bye. Even just talking really fast. That's another way to do it too. Accents, you don't need accents. You don't need acting. Sometimes just changing your manner of speech will go a long way. If that's a good way to kind of do stuff. Fun fact about TM, I make notes, but I get so nervous I forget about. That's fine too. Like I said, not everything has to go on schedule, according to plan. Sometimes it's more fun if it doesn't. I bought a shit ton of... Oh, you went full costumes. Oh, very nice, very nice. I don't think I've actually worn anything special for GMing. I might have just worn... No, I don't think I actually have any special props. Props are fun. I don't think they're necessary, but if you want to have fun with props, go nuts. I'm trying to think of some other ways you can, like... So those are some ways you can vary up some voices. It's like, hats and wigs are fine. I mean, everything's fine. I'm just saying that that's getting hats and wigs isn't the most wild type of props you can bring, but those do add something to it. They definitely do. But yeah, so generally I prep like an hour and a half before session. You don't have to do that, and I kind of recommend you don't. This is more of a character flaw on me than an actual bit of DMing advice. But what I'm talking about here, evolving story ideas as you write. So I had the idea for like the Toreador Primogen the Collector, but Studio 777 was an idea I did not have during my initial like music induced brainstorming during the week. I was imagining more like I want them to meet the Collector. Where would a big artsy vampire hang out in like Prohibition Chicago? And I ended up thinking about that. I was like, oh, a big club. Make a club name, give some ideas about that. And then from there, you can kind of spin out into other ideas. So like a club has a bouncer. So then I thought the idea of Bulldog, the bouncer to the club. And then I also use this as an opportunity to kind of key into player backstory stuff as well. Nyaru's character Katsumi really wants to be an idol and really wants to be on the big stage. So at that point, I was like, I can use Club 777, a phrase I created that's engineered to be awkward for me to say fast. So I ended up tying this into her backstory and just like, this is sort of like the pinnacle of what you want as a character. I'm like, this is the stage you really, really want. And that's also, yeah, no one wants to be an idol. Surprise, surprise. One of my groups insists that one session will come in costume for masks, but that's because all the characters are in like sports casual wear. I do like the idea of showing up full like Conan the Barbarian to session, like, sup guys, loincloth, face paint. Let's do it. I guess Conan doesn't really wear face paint. He's got the cool headband though. The Conan movies are really all right. So Conan the Barbarian's like a good Conan movie, and Conan the Destroyer, I wouldn't say it's good, but it's actually like a very D&D movie, because there's like a whole ass party of people in there, and it's not just Conan going on. Like in Conan the Barbarian, the movie, he has like crew, but like it doesn't really feel like a D&D party. It feels like an actual crew. Once you get into Conan the Destroyer, it feels like a schlock D&D party, and it's very fun. It's very fun. But yeah, so like this idea kind of came about just because I was planning stuff out, typing bullet points. The fun thing about bullet points is you can jump back and forth. You can kind of drill down. It's really easy to organize your thoughts that way. And then let me see some other stuff. When it comes to playing two characters as well, I made the Toreador B Big Titty Golf GF vampire, because I know most of the people in the party would enjoy that, and that's me catering to my party. Also, it's just fun to say on stream, so I did that for that reason too. A lot of my sessions have to have like little entertainment flourishes that your typical session would not, so you can do that. And the viewers, exactly, pick D20, exactly, the viewers. That's for the viewers too. So you don't have to worry about that. I would say, okay, so not everybody's going to record is going to be streaming their sessions. It's a big shocker, I know, but I would actually really recommend recording your sessions, even if it's just like putting on like a little recorder, like a little, just like put your laptop on, just hit record, or your phone or whatever. Because like sometimes it's just nice to have that audio. You can use that to like review the session later and figure out where you might have stumbled or things you can improve on. It's also really good for like, oh God, what happened last session? I didn't take notes on that. I also do take notes during the game to kind of like keep myself up to date. I have an example of that somewhere down here. I'll go ahead and scroll for that. But recording session, it's also nice for posterity. Like the ability to be able to go like years later and look at old campaigns. It's very it's very interesting. The only downside is you're going to have to get used to the sound of your own voice, and for a lot of people, it's hard. I've gotten a little bit used to it, even though like I've been streaming for about a year now. I'm still not entirely used to my voice, but it gets better. It gets better. But yeah, I will give you guys an idea of some notes I took during session. Like at the bullet points, what I'll do is typically at the bottom, I will just add notes. Let me see if I can find. So like, here's what I did. Here's just me taking some extra notes too, so I can, yeah, to be fair, yeah, that's a good point, Piggy20. A lot of notes are just like people shooting the shit, having fun. Even the most serious campaigns are going to be fairly jokey on the table. This is why, in general, I usually don't make my campaigns super comedic, because to clarify, my campaigns aren't built with the idea of them being jokey campaigns, but it's more like the player character's actions will be inherently jokey anyway. So that just kind of happens. So I don't know. It's a lot of campaigns are just having fun. Ideally, your ideal campaign is just sitting down and having fun with people you have a fun time with. That's why I would recommend I'd say recommend your first campaign being with people you're very familiar with. And I want to go back. I didn't touch up a little bit on that even before session 0. I'm gonna say putting like for like, this is gonna be, I want to jokingly call this session -1. That doesn't even make any sense. I'm gonna say like building the campaign. Like, let me see, very early prep. I don't even know what to really phrase this as. I'm going to say, here we go, campaign seed. This is the seed of the campaign. So then here's what you do. You want to find players, and this is going to be, so here's some tips on finding players. So ideally, friends is the best choice. Friends are the best choice. You want people you're familiar with. You want to be able to like let your hair down and have fun. And I would recommend doing friends in general. If you have the choice. I know some people don't have the choice, and that's understandable. But that's why I do want to say, if you have the option to play with friends, go for it. Then after that, let's see. Assuming, so other places you can find people at. Let me see. Just put some stuff. I'm putting some filler because I would say be careful with these. And this would be Roll20 Personals. This is going to be a warning before I kind of go into some alternative ways of finding characters. So Roll20 is a wonderful tool for playing online. Some people also go into Roll20 looking to find games. And the problem is a lot of people looking for games on Roll20 are not very... I'm trying to figure the best way to say this. There's legitimate people looking for games, and there are good people on there. However, there are a lot of people on there who are kicked out from their own groups or just very antisocial and could never get a group. And it's very hard to differentiate between those two. And if you are a new GM and you're trying to run your very first game, I would be very careful looking to these pools of players to be, let me see. I'd be very worried about looking at these pool of players for your first campaign. You might get some creeps. You might get some people who probably more than creeps. You're going to find flakes. Online campaigns for people who are entirely online and aren't very close. People will just drop out whenever because they have no real investment. If they're just like bored or the time schedule happens, they won't mention anything. They'll just leave. They'll just go. Yeah, it turns out the campaign was the friends we made along the way. Exactly. This is all good advice. This is all good advice from all three of you. It's so this is online personals are very rough. But so there are some other alternative paths that you can use. I would say if you're looking for in-person groups, local friendly game store. You could put out some advertisements here. Sometimes people are looking for groups at these like local stores that like basically like mom and pop shops that sell games, magic cards, stuff like that. Generally, some people will put personal ads there. What I will say, let me see, vet them out with. So I say vetting is important. It's very important still. If you're not, let me see, I cannot spell. Vetting is super important though, even if you're doing this in person. Just because, like I said, there's always. I like how friendly. I don't know. I like friendly games. So friendly. Oh, I fucked up the acronyms. It's the whole FLGS. Why did I put local first? Friendly local game store. I gotta keep this the friendly local game store. You'll see this online abbreviated as FLGS. Or just LGS if they'll remove friendly if they're having a bad experience. But yeah, I like the friendly game stores. I'm very comfortable with. I really much enjoy going to game stores. Basically, I have this weird problem. Every game store I go to, I become friends with the people who run the place, and I love being able to talk to them, and I love having fun. But sometimes I just want to like go into a store and get paint and then leave. Sometimes I just want to get paint and leave, and I can't because I'm friends with all these people. If I go get paint, it's going to turn into an hour and a half conversation. It's like, I just want to get my paint. I just want to get my paint and go. Why? What? Curse my charisma. Oh, woe is me. I cannot buy paints in peace, suffering from success. Yes. Oh, anyway, but yeah. Game stores are very nice because here's a good benefit. Here's a good benefit of the game store. A public place to play. So you might not have space at your own house to run games. However, if you're playing in a game store, people have to be the game shop owner is accountable for what goes on. And also people are less likely to act out in public. Usually game stores, you can reserve slots on when to run. Sometimes they'll run like the D&D Adventure League or whatever. There's an option to pull like the Adventure League or whatever. There's like some like D&D, like they give stores packets of campaigns to run, and all those Adventure League games are very boring. They're very boring to actually be a part of, but that is a good pool of players to dig from if you're just looking for players. And having a public space to play in is very nice, just because like it's in public. If no one can really do anything too wild, I would still vet them though. Vetting is still very important when you dig out groups of people who aren't your friends. Yeah. Poaching Adventure League's players not bad, especially because you could join the adventure. Here's another option too. So Adventure League, I think Pathfinder has one too. You could just join one of these as a player, play a couple of games, and if you like some of the people in the group, offer to run a game for them later. They'll be very happy to, because if they're having fun in the Adventure League, they would love to have a real ass. They'd love to have a real ass campaign that's not on the on rails. Exactly. Piggy Toy knows what's up. Join the Adventure League. Steal players. Get. Oh God, Stockshock, that fucking sucks. I love it. I love the idea of like, I do think cafe game stores are going to be more of the future. And I've already seen a lot of them show up. All the ones near me are pure game stores, but I would love one with like a built-in cafe. I just want to like get a muffin while I'm there. Any place that I can buy a muffin at instantly becomes 3,000 times better. Muffins are life. Muffins are love. But yeah, vetting is still important if you're not going to go undercover in the Adventure League to scout players. Probably what I would do is invite them to almost like not like a date, but get like a couple of people together and then maybe go like bowling or just do some group activity together that's maybe not game related and just kind of see how they act. And if one of them's like real shit, just don't invite them back. Like, or you could even just do maybe like, because in general, like if you're not playing with locals, you don't want to take people home, just in case, unless you fully know them yet. So that's why I say public places are probably the ideal. Board game. Oh, Pig Detour. Board games. Board games are a good idea too. Board games are very good, especially because there are very like D&D like board games. Like I cannot think of any at the top of my head. Gloomhaven, I think, is one, and then I like Kingdom Death, but I don't think you're going to sit down and break the ice with a $400 board game. I would love to, though. I'd love to play more Kingdom Death. But board games are a good idea. I haven't actually gotten a chance to play Gloomhaven. I've heard it's fucking phenomenal, but I have not gotten to play it. So I'm actually I originally put these as like options. And then sometimes another option would just be to friend of a friend. Like sometimes if you have friends who aren't necessarily into there, but a lot of people just know a guy who is into like role-playing games, and you could probably put together enough group if you just get the like connection chain going, because sometimes like your immediate friend circle might not have one, but you might know a guy who has a group of friends that are into tabletop role-playing games, and then you can kind of glom onto them. However, once again, vetting is important. Make sure to vet forever. Vetting is life, vetting is love. I'd say muffins are more life and love than vetting. It's like maybe like let's see, like muffin vetting. I don't know what else. What are we doing here? Bagel. I don't know where I'm going with this. Oh, vetting. No, sorry, vetting. Vetting is life. I guess if you eat enough muffins, you're gonna have a good hometown. Probably. Depends. Actually, if you want a good hometown, squats, leg exercises are how you get a good butt. Let me see. I think it's like, the joke is like abs are made in the kitchen, but a good exercise routine will give you a nice butt. All right. Anyway, I'm getting off track, but yeah, vetting, like the idea of just basically, like make sure you know the people you're going to be playing with, even if you're not friends with them, just kind of like, figure out who they are as a person and judge accordingly. So yeah, this is sort of like the initial. I would also say too something about this that I didn't really touch on, but I think I should touch now. See, this is really funny because like the whole evolving story ideas as you write. I'm doing it now. I'm doing this right now for my notes on how to run a campaign. I'm going back doing it this way. So I'm going to say picking a system. And picking a system is really important. Like, I think a lot of people are going to just choose Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition and just move on with their lives and run fantasy. But very important. There are more games than D&D 5e. D70, Jesus Christ. D&D, here we go. And the reason I say this is because I've heard this statement many times. They're like, I would love to run a sci-fi game. So what I did is I took Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition and I made it into a sci-fi game. And you can do that. However, there are so many more systems you can look out there that would better suit your needs, that have many support. Have many different support structures, not support structures, have many different like supplements. The worst. Yeah, square pegging round hole isn't worth. So let's say you want to run a sci-fi game. So let's say it is a sci-fi game. I took D&D and made it me die from cringe. So let's say you want to run sci-fi. So you got some options. You got a bunch of options actually. So you can say we got Dark Heresy. Can I spell heresy, please? You can tell I'm a filthy chaos player because heresy spelling is hard. Generally just combine systems. You can take inspiration from different systems, but I like using existing stuff. Let's say you like sci-fi. You can do that. Here, I'm just going to like list a bunch of good sci-fi games you could look at. Traveler is a good one. Traveler is a very like hard science fiction setting. Like it's very grounded. It's realistic is very questionable when it comes to sci-fi. but that's a system you can't. Traveler also has a very interesting character creation where you basically go through your character's life story, and the events that happen in the life story through random charts determines what your character's going to be like. Ooh, so for some stuff, I imagine you're mentioning Stars Without Number. I've heard really good things about Stars Without Number. I think it is technically still derived from some. I think it's more like an OSR D&D thing, but I've heard really good things about it. Oh yeah. Actually, we can easily do that. We can easily do that for like this next part, for like dark fantasy. It is very much OSR. Yeah. I haven't played it personally. I've heard really good things. I've heard really good things about it. There's like another one that's like a branch off from. Let me see. It's like Blades in the Dark Space. Why can I not remember the name of this setting? There's a book that's like Blades in the Dark, but in space. I think it's like Stars and Rogues or something like that. There's Starfinder Trials. Jesus Christ, Pig. I wasn't a huge fan of Starfinder, but it is an option. If it is an option. But yeah. All of these games would benefit you a lot more than running D&D 5th edition and just trying to make it work. For instance, a lot of these have rules for guns, which D&D 5th edition doesn't have. A lot of them have mechanics for space travel. And you can even do some really weird stuff. Let's say, here's a system that's very much out there. Eclipse Phase. Eclipse Phase is a game of transhuman horror about after the Earth was kind of corrupted by an alien virus and is rendered unusable. People in the future will like swap bodies around. And there's like a lot. The horror elements come with the idea of like the horror of the individual self. When the fastest method of space travel is to rip your brain out of your body and effectively mail yourself to a different space station and get suited up in a new body. Like the idea of like, at what point are you anymore? What happens if someone like backs you up and then raises a new copy of you? Yeah, exactly. Surface Up knows what I'm talking about. There's a lot of interesting things you could do in Eclipse Phase that you could never do in a D&D hack. Never. And that's why I think you're missing out if you're trying too hard to square peg round hole D&D. You're missing out on a lot of cool systems. But yeah, I'm actually very down for recommending different systems. Let me see. The wonders of many different systems. Also, Eclipse Phase is fun because you can play a dude who's an octopus. Where's my bullet points? Here are my bullet points. All right, so never hack a system. There's probably one. There's Cthulhu. Oh God, Cthulhu Tech. Cthulhu Tech I like in theory, but there's a lot of weirdness. I was hoping they'd fix it with 2nd edition, but from what I can tell, I think 2nd edition's dead. For people who don't know, Cthulhu Tech is effectively like, let's take Macross and Evangelion and merge them together and do a light dusting of Lovecraft on top of it. And the base premise is cool, but if you do run Cthulhu Tech, never look at any. There's there's one expansion book you can get that's worth it. I think it's named like God, I have it. It's like Vade Mecum or something like that. That one's fine. Ignore everything else because a bunch of people stick in a bunch of weird fetishy bullshit. They were trying to go really hard into the like sexual horror. Hey, Surf's Up. Yeah, thank you for the follow and welcome officially to the workshop. I'm glad you're enjoying this rant about all these systems. But yeah, so Cthulhu Tech is an interesting premise, but they fuck up a lot. I wanted to punch, I wanted to punch Cthulhu if robots got struggle snuggle. Jesus Christ. Yeah, there's a lot. Another big sin with Cthulhu Tech is that they basically, in Cthulhu Tech, they try to do too many things. They want you to be able to play low level, like humans on the street. They want you to play Guyver, like straight up, just like you have a bio suit of armor and you fight other shadowy operatives. No, it's not. We're not going full Fatal. They want you to have regular mech pilots. They want you to have Evangelion pilots. They want you to have wizards. They want you to have psychics, and none of those mash together very well. So Cthulhu Tech is not a system I'd recommend. It is a interesting read. Mindjammer. I don't know if I've actually heard of Mindjammer. Let me see. Search Mindjammer. Ooh, it sounds cool though. That does sound cool. I'll have to look that one up later. So, okay. So for the wonders of many different systems, would you guys rather me just start talking about systems that I find interesting and I've enjoyed? Or do you guys want to like ask for different types of systems that I can kind of just pull out of my ass what you might like? I'm good for either one. Both are viable options. Well, I'm going to real quick. Actually, this would be a good time. I need to take a quick bathroom break. I'm going to take a quick bathroom break. What do you guys think on that? And I'm going to enjoy a drink, and I'll be right back. I am back. All right. Hello, hello. I will play as an anime maid. Give me a system. Maid RPG chat. Yeah, maid RPG system. Give me one. Hell, I already did it. We'll start off with that. Also, everyone, I want you to know that song was called Evan Atelier. That was produced by the lovely Corpse channel, who is a wonderful VTuber. She is very great. I would recommend checking her out on YouTube. Let's see. Is there a way I can link Corpse without revealing that I am streaming right now? She's doing her piano practice, so I'm gonna have to miss out on that. But I do want to show Corpse because she's a very lovely individual and also a big TRPG nerd. So yeah, everyone who hasn't followed Corpse, give her a follow at some point at your convenience. But yeah, we'll start out with the presented class, what you brought from Show and Tell. All right, so I'm gonna just look at systems. Luckily, I have a whole ass bunch of stuff behind me that I can use as reference to as well. And then also talk about some systems that I haven't actually personally done stuff with. So I will actually, Stockshock has a good point. Maid RPG. I will recommend this. This is the best one-shot RPG ever made. That's not even that was, I'll make that a pun on purpose, but that wasn't my original intent. It is the best one-shot RPG ever made. The premise of Maid is that you are playing a bunch of anime maids. The strength of Maid RPG is that you everything is randomly rolled. Like you build a character entirely off of random tables, and it's very very fun. It's super good. The thing is that like you have to play it with a group that's into anime. If you're gonna play with like your typical if you're gonna play with a bunch of like low fantasy grogs, you're not gonna have a fun time with Maid. However, if anyone has even like the lightest amount of also hold on a sec, I need one of my stream alerts have not updated, but not alerts, sorry, it's the stream the like little floaty label things were not up to date. There we go. Let's see, restart session. Also, if you see 1UP coin, I've experimented with a crypto wallet, and that's just me testing some shit. It's you played. Oh, you actually played Maid after. Oh, yes. Maid is so good. It's so good. It is Hijinks, the tabletop game. And like, it is pure chaos. It's very fun. What I do, my secret sauce, let me see, Waifu Labs. My secret sauce when I run Maid is I also recommend players create their Maid character using Waifu Labs, which is a like neural network way of generating anime girls. It's really fun. It's a really easy way to get character portraits, and it's a real good system. I'd really recommend it. Like if assuming you're watching me, you're probably at least slightly into anime. If you're not, I'm glad that you have powered through. Like, if someone's watching me who's not into anime at all, I actually am very happy you're here right now, because that means you're looking past my beautiful physique. I just said why someone plays orcs. Waifu generators. Yeah, Brandless. Hello, hello. How's it going, my dude? How's it going? We are doing a lecture, Satsudan workshop on running tabletop RPGs, and we're currently going through a list of systems that I recommend or ones that I've heard of that are cool. So, Made RPG, it's a lot of fun. It is chaos. It's pure chaos. It's fun. Yeah. This is a fun lecture. This isn't like your good content is good content. Hell yeah. That's your boy, good time. Yeah. That's why I would love to, like, I know a lot, like, VTubers kind of compete in the same audience, but I really want to reach out to more like tabletop game spheres, like people who are into Magic, people who are into like Warhammer painting, stuff like that, people who are just tabletop like RPG nerds. I'll release the document later. Yeah, I do want to put all this up online so it's very easy to reach. So I'll probably will find a way to put the document in a way that's easy for you guys to get later. Also, Luna, hello, how's it going? We are talking about systems that I recommend now as part of the lecture. So Made RPG is very fun. Another one I would strongly recommend that's good. Made is a good one to run as a first system as well, just because it's very mechanics light. It's entirely D6 based. You only need effectively only a single die, and there's not a lot of meat there. So it's very easy to run if you're like, because that is something that I think a lot of new DMs are worried about, like getting caught up in the congestion of the system. Realize all you really need to do is, like, when you prepare your session, just look at the parts of the book to pertain what you're trying to do and just go from there. You don't need to know everything. Just know enough to get by, and that's all you really need. But yeah, Made RPG is really good. Another one, Engine Heart. Why type G? Engine Heart. Let me do effectively the best way. The brave little toaster robot RPG. Engine Heart is a game where everybody plays robots. This is another one I've mentioned before, so this shouldn't be too surprising for returning listeners. Engine Heart is a fantastic system. You build a robot from scratch. It's not like your typical RPG where you have like strength and dexterity and whatnot for stats. You have stats for like how well you can use your parts, how well you understand your environment. Like, you have the ability to get things like drills, lifting apparatus. You could have a nuclear powered battery. You can have, like, it's not even necessarily super weapon based. You can get weapons in Engine Heart, but that's not really the point. Like, the point is to be just like a band of fun robot buddies doing things. You have a lot of customization. I'm gonna say a lot of customization, but not overly complex. So you build your robot, and like once you got everything locked in, there's not actually like the system is very light. I would actually say that the book itself might be less than 100 pages. If you ever like get a physical copy of Engine Heart, it's very, very thin. It is very, very thin. It is also, if you are you interested in Engine Heart, I would recommend buying it because it is created by a dude named Viral. It is the guy, it's a very indie operation, but it's a very good system. Deadlands I've heard really good things about. I have not done it. I have not played it personally. Deadlands is kind of like a supernatural Wild West setting. So if you're really into like a good Western RPG, that is an option as well. I know there's a Savage Worlds version, and then there's like an original. There might be a newer edition since then. I don't know. But there's a bunch of fun stuff like gambling cards to get extra powers and stuff like that. Wild West. Giant mechanical spider comes out of nowhere. Weird West just came out. I've not seen Weird West. It's very weird because, like, unfortunately, this is going to be like a little weakness on mine. I haven't kept up with a lot of newer games that's been released. I'll have to look into some. I need to like really update my stock of games. It's in the SW run. Oh, okay. I'll pull that up for later. That does sound cool though. Like, a lot of my systems are pretty old. Oh, WW is, it's the newest edition of Dead. Oh, okay. Is it one of those things where they just got like a different license? Oh, okay. Let's see, let me see, Deadlands. Oh, okay. Maybe check that one out then. Check out that version. But Engine Heart's very fun. Would recommend. All right, what is? Turn back to look at shelf. Let me see. What's some other good games I could recommend? I know in general. Let me see. Brain shut down. I have a lot of systems, but I don't know if I. Oh, here's a good one. Is Veins of the Earth a good RPG, or is it good because of the writing? That's an interesting question. Veins of the Earth uses Lamentations of the Flame Princess as a engine. Like, it's actually not a full system in itself. Lamentations of the Flame Princess is like a perfectly serviceable D&D retro clone. It's got the guy who does Lamentations really likes like comical amounts of gore. So if you're not a big fan of that, I don't think Flame Princess. They do sell versions without like the crazy gore behind it. It's very like heavy metal levels of just like shock gore, I guess. I really like the writing of Veins of the Earth. I do like that. I've actually never ran it as a like. I've never actually had the like players play it. And the tricky thing with that is I feel like a lot of the monsters in Veins of the Earth are like so wildly deadly, I can't see a party surviving contact with them. So I don't know how it would go. So I'm going to say I primarily like it because of the writing. I think like most monster books, you could turn it into a good campaign effectively, but I think you would need to like very, very carefully think things out. But I will say another system that I really like, Unknown Armies. Unknown Armies is a very, the joke name for Unknown Armies is Cosmic Bum Fights. Basically the idea of Unknown Armies, it's a modern day setting. There's a bunch of low-key supernatural shit going on in the background, and like regular people are kind of just starting to accidentally stumble into stuff. So like there's different tiers to it. Like tier 1 is like a guy has been looking up into a bunch of weird rumors because his dog went missing, and he's finding some weird mysterious stuff about his town that doesn't really quite make sense. Almost like Scooby-Doo level, but instead of like a monster of the week, it's like some like I guess it's like Scooby-Doo if there was more just like weird magic in the background. Then you have the second tier where people start actually interacting with magic, and magic in Unknown Armies is very interesting. I'll say very interesting magic, because it's not like I cast fireball. There's the magic is very like symbolic. There's a lot of personal connection to the people who cast magic in that setting, because it kind of breaks down. There's two types of like main casters. There's adepts, and adepts are people whose brains are so warped by a particular mindset that they for them it's less that they're doing spells and that their brains are so diseased in a certain way of thinking that reality snaps around them. An example of this would be a bibliomancer, which is one that I kind of relate to strongly. In the game, a bibliomancer is someone who hoards books. For them, it's not even the act of reading books. It's just the act of having a bunch of books. Having books is power. And at some point, it switches over from hoarding into full on just like psychosis. They'll buy books at any point. They hoard. They have massive collections. They have whole warehouses for their books. They don't even read books anymore, and now they can just kind of passively read their books magically. If someone steals their books, they lose their energy. Exactly. That's the whole idea of Mario. A lot of adept magic is based on the idea of contradictions. Probably a better example that now that I can think about now is the idea of a dipsomancer. A dipsomancer is someone whose magic gets effectively, they get magic from being an alcoholic. This is somebody who is so ensnared by the idea of being drunk, and like the idea for them is that alcohol is liberating. It gives them absolute freedom to be whoever they want to be. Alcohol makes them charming and funny and careless, and they can be their true self, quote unquote true self, when they're under the influence. However, these people, the contradiction to that is that like the more alcohol they consume, the more chained they are to it, the more it affects their lives. It ruins their relationships. It drives them to find like, not only do they get invested in having like more and more booze, it's not like to a certain degree, drinking booze gives them magic. Like you effectively get what's called charges. You get energy by drinking booze, and you can expend that to do magic stuff. But you start wanting like rarer boozes. You want to drink booze out of interesting things. Like booze becomes your life, and not even in like an alcoholic way. I'm trying to think the best way to differentiate. Like a common alcoholic is just someone who like just drinks a whole lot. A dipsomancer, they become drinking. The whole act of like actively drinking alcohol becomes them. And it's between that like the warped part of their brain that kind of like intrudes on reality. It's what really kind of affects it. I don't even know if I need to have a whole bullet point on this. And the other type is I forget what they're actually technically. They're godwalkers is the best way to describe that. So, and that idea is the idea of someone becoming so close to a archetype of humanity they start getting magical powers. Like the idea of the archetypical. Let's say that there is a ideal warrior. Like the human base idea of someone who goes and kills for a reason. Someone could basically be channeling that without realizing it. And the more they become closer to this archetype, the stronger and stronger they become, so they start manifesting psychic powers. And the tricky thing with this is generally adepts live alone. They're all kind of weird disease hermits. They're sort of where the bum fights and cosmic bum fights come from. Well, Godwalkers eventually have to compete with each other because only one of them can really ascend and become the embodiment of that, the primordial archetype. Exactly. It's actually very similar to the idea of mantling Elder Scrolls. Actually, that's a very good point, Mario. It's basically that, but like in a more modern day sense. Like there's some ideas that I'm trying to think of some examples they have of those, but it's a very like Unknown Armies is a very interesting system because it's very grounded. Despite the magic, it's like very. What I mean grounded is like if you get shot in Unknown Armies, it's going to suck. Like if you get shot in like most other games, which is an otter VTuber doing an otter chitter race. And the contrast is awesome. Yeah, I'm talking about some weird wooey woo like conspiracy magic campaign, and then it's just like otter noises, chirp 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 chirp. But yeah, like in Unknown Armies though, like let's say D&D, you get shot by a gun, whatever, move on. Dark Heresy, you get shot by a gun. It's probably pretty bad, but who knows? Maybe you'll be fine. If you get shot by a gun in Unknown Armies, it's a big deal. It is your character will die fast. To the point where so I'm going off of Unknown Armies 2nd edition. They've released a 3rd edition lately that did a bunch of changes. I prefer 2nd. Do whichever one you can get a hold of. It's legitimately a great idea. It's a great setting. It's a great system. But the idea is that in Unknown Armies 2nd edition, they specifically break down steps on how to avoid getting into fights. Because like the idea is that fights are so lethal, just like in real life, that you want to avoid them as much as possible. And I've never seen an RPG do that. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. So yeah, Unknown Armies would recommend that. Let's see what other options I got going on. The system I'd recommend. I do like I mentioned this earlier, Mutants and Masterminds. It's a very crunchy but flexible superhero game. What I mean by crunchy again, it's very mechanically dense. Oh yeah. I'd say I think 2nd edition. I don't think any of the other ones have. Let's see, Unknown Armies. I just wrote 2nd edition. I'll just write 3rd is good too. And then Mutants and Masterminds, I recommend 3rd edition. It's probably the one that's easiest to understand. So basically the nice thing about Mutants and Masterminds, it's very flexible. You could use it for a lot of different systems, actually, like a lot of different things. As long as it's not like you're not going to run like a super lethal game in Mutants and Masterminds. But if you want one where like everyone's pretty tough and pretty capable, I'd recommend it. You can basically create any power you can think of. There's a lot going on there. It's really fun. I would really recommend. Let me see. This is gonna be a weird one that I really like as well. It's gonna be kind of hard to find these days, but I'm gonna say Gamma World. It is basically the Justice League cartoon, yeah. Gamma World 7th edition. I'm a big fan of, and this is a I guess goofy post-apocalyptic game. So Gamma World 7th edition is a system that's derived off of D&D 4th edition, but it is much lighter than D&D 4th edition. It's has a very interesting character building concept where you basically take 2 mini classes and slam them together. And these mini classes aren't like fighter and rogue. Gamma World has classes like doppelganger, and not doppelganger like you're a duplicate of someone. Doppelganger is like your character is a bunch of people from like alternate dimensions that are shuffling back and forth. And you got other classes like Yeti. You have like 3 different types of psychic. You have robot. Like there's no base level human in Gamma World 7th edition. And what you do is when you roll randomly to determine your class, your 2 classes, there's no races, there's just the classes. You mash them together and that's your whole character. The system is built that whatever you run, you'll have the perfect stats for it. Because when you create your character, they give you an 18 in your primary class's stat and a 16 in the primary stat of your secondary class. And if you roll both that use the same stat, like if both use strength, you just get a 20. Everything else gets rolled randomly, and it doesn't really matter because you have the stat you need to function very well. And it is very dynamic and very interesting. The downside of Gamma World, oh god, Immortal Handbook does not count as a system. However, but at least before we go tonight, I will be reading another entry from the Immortals Handbook. Immortals Handbook is codified madness, but it is very amusing. The one downside for Gamma World that I'd be very wary about is that Gamma World was sold with the idea of having collectible cards. This is because it's made by Wizards of the Coast, and they had no sense of right or wrong back and forth. They still really don't, but like they thought that they could sell collectible cards for a role-playing game, which is stupid. However, the system has been dead long enough that you can just find a whole Excel spreadsheets of the cards, and you don't even Wizards of the Coast. Exactly. You could just straight up. You can just straight up just get tables of the cards, and you don't even need to bother anymore with actually you don't have to bother with the actual cards themselves. So the system is very good now that you're not stuck behind a stupid paywall. Let me see what else you're mentioning. So I think you're mentioning like dark fantasy. I'm trying to think of what would be good dark fantasy systems. I don't necessarily have any like on cue that I think would be good. Oh shit. Oh, thank you, Anonymous Gifter. Oh, thank you for gifting Tamaro, Southbound Metalhead, Service Up, Lazy Susan, and Rando Lurker 3, a tier 1 sub. Thank you. Tales from the Floating Vagabond. I have heard of Tales from the Floating Vagabond. From what I can tell, Tales from the Floating Vagabond is a comedy role-playing game that the jokes were very thin. That is what I've heard. I don't know if there's a new edition or not. I've heard it's not very good. Once again, if there's a new edition, maybe things got better. From what I can tell, though, I don't know if it's worth the time. The tricky thing with comedy role-playing games, it's very hard for the joke to be, because I think it's one of those ones where they try too hard. And I'm sure actually, if you like the idea of Tales from the Floating Vagabond, you could probably work it with like that premise with another system, or do whatever. But I don't think it's necessarily worth. I'm trying to think about like. As far as like dark fantasy, I don't play a lot of dark fantasy. I'm trying to think of what systems do that. Like there's one called the Dark Eye or like Dark Schwarz Arg or whatever. It is effectively a German fantasy. Basically, from what I can tell, the Dark Eye is like primarily popular in Germany, but it's also been translated to English and a couple of other things. And it's sort of run as like a Witcher level fantasy game. So that might be worth looking into. A lot of the OSR scene also does dark fantasy very well. I mentioned Lamentations is perfectly serviceable. If you want something that's like a very like a cleaned up, a classic version of older editions of D&D, Labyrinth Lord I think is worth looking into. I've played Labyrinth Lord a couple of times and I've had nothing but good experiences. Dungeon Crawl Classics is very fun. I could even like I could recommend it's tricky because those, I don't know if I have enough experience to necessarily recommend some of those. Dungeon Crawl Classics is very fun because Dungeon Crawl Classics has what's called the level 0 funnel. And this isn't appropriate to like every game, but it sometimes it really hits the urge. It hits the urge. When you play Dungeon Crawl Classics, you create 4 level 0 characters, and all of these are just like chumps. They're just straight up chumps. they're like bakers and farmers and like blacksmiths, and they go in together into this dungeon, and most of them get hideously murdered. And then all the ones that survive kind of actually become first level characters and actually become survivable and get skills. And like sometimes it's fun just to watch a bunch of nobodies get just like meat grinded. I understand the appeal of that. I understand the appeal of that as well, but I don't know. I go back and forth. I will also say this isn't necessarily a dark fantasy game, but the A Song of Fire and Ice RPG by Green Ronin is a pretty good system as well. I've had a lot of fun with that in the way. Like if you like the idea of Game of Thrones, but you felt like the TV show did it dirty, and that you're tired of George R.R. Martin just like not writing books for 15 years or however long, the Game of Thrones, the Song of Fire and Ice role playing game is a very interesting system. It has a lot of, I'll go ahead and say, it's like, I think this is one I've played enough. I can say with confidence that I like it. A Song of Fire and Ice RPG. I don't know if there's any additions for that, but so it's basically it's you know, you can kind of know what to expect by the title, but it's got a very robust house creation system. The character gen, so basically the house creation system, you have all kinds of stuff. You can build an entire house from scratch. You can roll for it randomly. You can just pick up the individual stuff. It is very fun. It's very fun. One of my favorite characters was made in that system. I was playing effectively like a roguish man whore is the best way to describe it. He was really good at like using a spear and like seducing his way through situations. And I had a lot of fun playing him. He was such a fun dude. The campaign was set in Essos. We were basically an exiled house from Westeros trying to like set up shop in Essos and like rebuild our stuff. And we kept fucking up because player characters fuck up all the time. And it was a lot of fun. Like the character creation system is pretty, lots of character options. Basically, yeah, I forget exactly where I came from in that. But another thing that's really cool about the Song of Fire and Ice RPG is that you can build viable. There is a whole social combat thing if you want to have like very like wild debates and have like really, because like a lot of systems you can just kind of like role play it out, or you can just like roll a die and see if you succeed. And I think both of those are fine. And I actually do like both of those as options. But if you do want to have like a bunch of extra rules and have like a bunch of cool like diplomacy maneuvers and stuff like that, yeah, debate combat effectively. That's valid. And then the nice thing about the character options, unlike D&D, a non-combat character is totally viable in the Song of Fire and Ice RPG. You can play a character who's like a maester, like AKA just like a guy who knows things, and it'll be very important. You can play like political advisors, and like you could have a general who like has a flaw that like maybe he was like injured in a war, and like was never fully fighting fit, and like all those are very viable in that system. The thing I will say though, if you do run it, I'm gonna say caveat. How do I spell caveat? I bet but there's no spell check, so if I miss, oh, there we go, caveat. Make sure players don't get stats higher than 5. The downside to the Song of Fire and Ice RPG, it's very easy to break. And any system that has very open character gen. That's like JoJo. Did I make a JoJo reference? Eh? I didn't know. If I did make one, it was entirely an accident. The Song of Fire and Ice RPG is very easy. Stock shock busted. You got busted. Got busted drifting. Got busted drift. It was the auto race. It's all good. I'm just gonna bully you forever now, you fucking dork. Let's see what else. What other good RPG? Yeah, the Song of Fire and Ice RPG I would recommend. It's if you're invested in that kind of game or the show or the books or whatever the fuck, good. It's a good system. Let me see. And then another one. Oh, why haven't I not talked about my favorite role-playing game? Blades in the Dark. Ted Dark. Holds up spork. Blades in the Dark is my favorite system. Oh yeah, Ringo, that's my Rhesus. Oh yeah, I forgot about Rhisus. Rhisus. Rhisus is a all right, Stock Shock. If you really want to be bullied by me, turn off that other stream. You're mine now. I had fun doing that. Rhisus is a very, very, very bare bones system. It's kind of fun. It's very generic, but I don't know. I don't know if anyone's actually ran that ASMR bully. I've never actually heard of a game of Rhisus actually being ran. I just know people have like referenced it forever. There's also there's a bunch of good like 1 or 2 page role playing games. Big motherfucking crab truckers, lasers and feelings. Is Everyone is John 1 page? I think it's multiple, but it's still pretty good too. But yeah, Blades in the Dark, my favorite system. It's about playing like effectively fantasy gangs in a the base setting is like one where like the bad guys have won and the world's kind of ruined and people are struggling to get by. However, usually whenever a book has a default setting, I usually just ignore it. I like writing mine from scratch. But it's got very flexible character creation. It's got a very open-ended resolution mechanic. It's the idea of clocks is very interesting. Clocks is something that you can use in basically any system, but I would like to talk about it. So the idea with clocks is that basically it's a car lesbians. I forgot about car lesbians. I have not thought car lesbians in a long time. I wonder if PDFs of Car Lesbians are still around. I would like to look into that again. Car Lesbians is about a game that was based on someone's dream. It is about lesbians and cars. That's it. That's really it. The default settings are good to give people an idea. And the default setting of Blades in the Dark isn't bad. I just like doing my own thing. But the idea of clocks is that like as things happen in the game, I'm not even gonna write that down. I'm just gonna speak about it. So as things happen in the game, there is a visual timer that's on the thing. There'll be like a clock, and there'll be like 4 sections, and like the clock will be labeled like the guards are gonna come. So like a lot of systems, like you do like stealth checks, and like if you fail a stealth check, you get found, and then fuck it, it's over. In Blades in the Dark, the idea is like you might fail sneaking around, and you might increment the clock by 1. So it's like they fuck up a stealth check, the clock goes up by 1, and then this keeps going until the clock finally maxes out. And then when the clock maxes out, it might guards will start coming, and then maybe there'll be more clocks, like maybe guard reinforcements are coming, or like the city is getting involved. Blades in the Dark, I think it's using its own system called like Powered by the Dark or something like that. It shares a lot of DNA with Powered by the Apocalypse, but it's not quite there. Like it uses playbooks, which basically playbooks, for people who don't know, they're like classes, but they're contained within like effectively imagine if your entire class was written on your character sheet. It's a very neat idea, but they have more like traditional stats in Blades in the Dark. Even though the stats aren't like strength or whatever, like one of the stats in Blades in the Dark is Wreck. So the idea of just applying brute force to something, whether that might be beating up a dude or just like breaking a gate, and certain stat skills will work better in other situations, but it's very flexible. So you could theoretically use them in different scenarios. Like you could use Wreck as a replacement for an Intimidate check. Like, you know how like in D&D, like if you're a really strong barbarian, but you have 8 charisma, you suck at intimidating. In Blades in the Dark, if you're a big hulking muscle man and you want to intimidate, you use Wreck. And that would be you just like grabbing a dude and just beating him. And that's the way to intimidate him. It's very flexible and very good. And I love it as a GM. I love it. Exactly. But it's my favorite. It's legitimately my favorite system. I love it. 100 Wreck. Yes. The modular design's really good too. Like the clock system's good. The thing I really love too, the gang itself has a character sheet, because the idea is that the characters might go to jail. It's actually viable to go to jail in that system if you get too much heat. So there's mechanics for like if you get caught, you can send yourself to jail for like a month to kind of lower your heat. But while you're in jail, you can build like criminal networks inside there. But it also means like the party could like sell out another party member. The shared gang sheet too is really interesting. So you can, as you level up in that game, you don't just level up your own characters, your gang gets better. So you might get access to like new fences, or you might get secret passageways or secret smuggling tunnels. And there's different types of gangs too. There's like assassin gangs and smuggler gangs and just like street toughs. stuff like that. And each gang has a different gang sheet, and then all of those has different advancements on them. There's a lot of cool customization in Blades in the Dark, but it's not very mechanically cumbersome. I could teach you guys how to run Blades in the Dark very quickly. Oh, and Blades in the Dark, when you level up too, you just get extra points. You just get points to put some stuff in there. In your stats. It's very fluid. It's very easy. I would strong recommend Blades in the Dark. I love it. Oh, how I love Blades in the Dark. So it's so good. I love to do Blades in the Dark for VTubers as well. It's amazingly fantastic. It's such a good system. Though Surf's Up, I would very much love to try a Blades in Powered by the Apocalypse system. I was looking at Interstitial to do like a VTuber crossover campaign, but I also have Apocalypse World 2nd Edition. I should mention that. I should mention Apocalypse World. I think 2E is probably the better one these days. So it's effectively like it's a good way to play. Ooh, we're getting Halbernacht. Oh, we want Bunny. All right, I'm gonna change into Bunny real quick. So. Ooh, hydrate and stretch. Thank you, Aosh. Let me do that. So the reason the apprehension on Powered by the Apocalypse to kind of explain for other people, because I understand too. Powered by the Apocalypse is a system that effectively you kind of have like predetermined moves that's how you interact with the game. Let me see. Let me get these. Maybe I can get these a bit. Once I get the ears on, I can explain it a bit better when I'm not growing ears. Interesting choice on Bunny though. Most people do. Rascal does like reverse Bunny Girl. How? Wait, who's Rascal? Are you the Rascal? Here we go. Let me get these. I'm growing ears. And then I might need to actually like zoom out. So kind of doing up. It's a good thing. The magics are at work. Oh, wait a minute. Aw, sec. Me as Rascal, Uncle Bungo. That's valid. Oh, here we go. This will be soon, and then we will talk about why people have reservations for Powered by the Apocalypse. It is definitely a system where it's like you love it or you hate it. I haven't really gotten a chance to run it, so I haven't really gotten a. Why is it not? Please. There we go. Here, let's go back. Here we go. Yay. Actually, yay, here we go. Ignore that. I'm smaller now. I had to shrink in order to accommodate my massive ears. My massive ears. Let me get my notes up. I have to pull up. I'm using Edge for this because I want to make sure that I don't like leak anything important. Apocalypse World, you basically, the system on that I mentioned a little bit earlier, you have predetermined what they're called moves, and they're sort of how you interact with the environment. There's not necessarily stats. Well, I think there's stats. I think there might be stats. But the different classes have different moves, and there's also a communal pool of moves everyone can use. And they're kind of like the filters the way you interact with the environment. And like each move is you roll 2d6 and add a stat, and you want to try to hit a high number. If you roll too low, you fail. If you roll very high, you succeed. And if you roll in like the medium, you succeed but at a cost. And it's very narrative, and like there's a certain like meme answer within the community for that called fiction first. It's the idea that like the fiction of the story is more important than anything else in the game. And some people like that idea. They like really narrative heavy campaigns, and they like having the players having a lot of say in the narrative aspects, and some don't. Isn't Cities of Mist the one where it's like a now rejoice because you're seeing my massive bunny ears? Oh, I remember seeing City of Mist at a shop, I believe. That's the one where it's like a. Let me double check on this. Oh, it's like it's that like modern fantasy thing. That seemed really cool. It's like half Fate. Ah, that seems cool. I do like Fate. Fate has some good ideas too. Fate is a good generic game. Stock shock. This isn't a say-so stream, but whatever. Fate's actually kind of a neat system too. It's a very flexible rules light system. it's sort of made to be very generic, but there's some benefits to the genericness. Like it's very simple. It kind of, you can do a lot with it. I wouldn't do anything like super gritty, but it's fun. No, it's actually just called like Fate RPG, I believe. It's no connection to that Fate franchise at all. Fun fact: Nasu does not own the rights to the word Fate entirely. Yay. I'm just being cheeky though. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I've ran a couple of games in it, and like you do need to be careful when you're running it. Like make sure that you don't let the player like. Basically, it's a lot of it. It's people are going to want to try to roll their highest stat at all times. Just because like it uses a stat pyramid. So your highest stat is like a +4, and then you get 1 + 4 stat, 2 + 3 stats, 3 + 2 stats, and 4 + 1 stats. And in general, people really only want to use their 4s and 3s. They really don't want to use their 1s and 2s, and they'll fight and scream and beg to not use those. But another cool thing is that Fate has the ability to, they have aspects. So in addition to your stats, you have like 3 things about yourself that you kind of write down on your sheet. And during the course of gameplay, you can call on those aspects to give your character bonuses to your die, but your GM could also call on those aspects to give you penalties as well. So like if you have a aspect called like very impulsive swordsman, let's say that's like one of your character aspects. You're in a sword fight. It's like a very rigid duel, like you're fighting like a real snooty dude, and you call on your very impulsive swordsman aspect to get an extra edge when you're fighting. So you can get a boost that way. However, your GM could use that against you to basically when you use your aspect, you spend what's called a fate point. You have 3 of those, and you basically gain and lose fate points over the session. So you spend a fate point, you're going to use very impulsive swordsman. You're going to stab this dude extra hard. However, let's say you're in like a fancy ball situation, and you're trying to like be real smooth and slick with this lady. Your GM might say, I'm going to invoke your very impulsive swordsman to say maybe you're a little too eager and you're a little too pushy, and you kind of you botch your smooth talking attempt, and the lady gets angry and runs. That's a thing that can happen. So but when the GM does that, you get a fate point, which you can use later. So and you can also spend a fate point to say, no, fuck you, you're not going to use my aspect tonight. So there's like an interesting economy between the way fate points and aspects work. And you can also add aspects to the environment. And the environment might just have aspects to it as well. So you might be fighting a bad guy on like a rickety bridge, and you could be like, I'm going to spend a fate point and use the rickety bridge quality to get an additional bonus for throwing this guy off the side of it. And sometimes maybe you might be on like a perfectly good bridge, and someone might use an action to create a aspect called like demolished bridge, where they like throw a grenade at it and makes the bridge shittier overall. So there's a lot of flexibility to Fate. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. All right. Let me see. Just looking at my big old pile of God, I got so many just like systems that I think are cool that I could rant about. I don't know how deep I'm gonna go tonight on just like general system ranting. I didn't prepare too much as far as that goes. I guess in general, I'll just kind of throw out some quick hits. The Fantasy Flight games. Let's see, Big Eye Small Mouth. Oh, that's a very interesting choice, Honk. Big Eye Small Mouth is a very anime game. I guess it's the idea of mimicking anime, like to the point where there's like a bunch of different options to kind of recreate like very popular anime tropes and stuff. The earlier editions weren't great. In particular, the D20 edition was real hot garbage. Not a good system at all. But I've heard really good things about the newest edition of Big Eye Small Mouth. I would like to give that one a fair shake, because I heard they've done a lot of changes. If you're also in the market for games that are specifically marketed as anime, I've heard really good things about a game called OVA. Oh yeah. From my understanding, Big Eye Small Mouth is very similar to Mutants and Masterminds. It's extremely flexible, but also extremely easy to break. And in general, a lot of systems with very open character creation gives you the option to break them. As someone who is running the game, you just need to take a little extra caution when the players make their characters. Look over their sheet, talk with them, be like, "Hey, listen, that's going to be too strong. Let's tweak this character around." Generally, things break when players become too hyper specialized. So someone's like, "I have gun. The only thing I can do is gun, and I shoot gun real good, and I do the kill on everybody. I am the most gun there ever is." So that concept is the idea of called min-maxing, is that you minimize all the character aspects that don't matter to you, and you maximize the one that do. So in that case, your character wants to build Shoot Boy, the boy who only shoots. And in general, basically Shoot Boy will kill every boss you ever throw at him on the first hit with the shoot gun. So what you can do as a game master, say like, "Listen, I understand you want to build Shoot Boy. Let's crank down the shooting and let's make him more well balanced. We could add some other stuff in there. Maybe give him some extra things he can shoot from his gun, so he can go all Green Arrow and have some novelty bullets. Maybe you give him more social skills, so he's just not a dead flat person and actually is like a person, actually has like thoughts and feelings and goals, stuff like that." There's a lot you can do to kind of prevent that. But yeah, from what I understand, Honk, Mutes and Master, the Big Eye Smallmouth 4th edition I heard is pretty solid. I heard it's pretty solid. I think it'd be worth looking into, and I definitely want to at some point. I definitely really, really want to look at some point. So yeah, other games. So Fantasy Flight has done the 40K RPGs, but Shoot Boy love him gun. Shoot Boy do love gun, but it's you gotta mix it up. So Fantasy Flight Games used to have licenses for the 40K and Star Wars RPGs. The Star Wars RPGs are very good. They're like Edge of the Empire, Galaxies. There's basically a bunch of Star Wars RPGs made by Fantasy Flight Games that are about playing like soldiers in the Republic, about playing like scoundrels, Force and Destiny. Yeah, there's ones about playing like people who are very weak to the Force, but are still like kind of, because like it's set during the original trilogy era, so you're not getting like Star Killer as a protagonist, but you might actually have like a dude like who's maybe more like a Padawan, or like a Padawan level, but he's they're kind of like all on their own. The 40K RPGs are also very, very good. Dark Heresy if you want to play the Inquisition, a Black Crusade if you want to play Chaos, Rogue Trader if you want to play a Rogue Trader, pretty understandable. Only War if you want to be a SAD and play a Guardsman, and Death Watch if you want to play, I think that's the only way you can play a Space Marine in those. They're all very good choices. I've mostly played Dark Heresy myself. I've played First Edition and Second Edition. I'm trying to find an anime game compatible with your Madoka game. I think there's actually. Oh yeah. I was going to recommend Magical Burst, but yeah, I think that would work for a Madoka game, especially. I feel like there's been some other Magical Girl games that have been released, but I'm not super familiar with. I have heard good things about Magical Burst though, but it sounds like if you're shopping around, you're probably not having much fun with it. Yeah, from what I've not gotten a Surf's Up. I haven't gotten a chance to look at Wrath and Glory myself. From what I've been told, it's more heroic, I guess. So it's less like you're a bunch of like, I guess it sounds like it's less grittier and like more like big damn heroes doing big damn hero things, which isn't bad. Oh yeah. Munda's got a good point. So the fun thing about the Star Wars and 40K RPGs, I'm kind of lumping them together, is that so effectively all of the Fantasy Flight 40K RPGs all use the same system. All of the Star Wars RPGs use the same system. You can mix and match them, but the idea is that like everything is contained with its own book for power level wise. In Dark Heresy, you're definitely going to be weaker than a Space Marine. In theory, you could do a mixed party where there's like a Space Marine and a bunch of Inquisition acolytes. So you have that option. If you want it. And sometimes the ability to mix and match does make sense. Like putting a Imperial Guardsman in a Inquisition party does work, though I think there's already backgrounds that cover that in Dark Heresy. But it's flexible. It's a good way to do systems that are very broad, but there's very like variable power levels. This is where I mentioned Cthulhu Tech earlier. Cthulhu Tech failed at this. If Cthulhu Tech did what Fantasy Flight Games did for the Star Wars RPGs and had all of their separate little things, If Cthulhu Tech basically had all of their character archetypes as separate books, I think it would have been a good idea. Cthulhu Tech was a mess. Cthulhu Tech was a mess. It was a big mess, but like, damn, wasn't it a pretty mess? Like, I mean, horrible source books aside, like not counting even like kind of like the weird sexual stuff. Like I remember there was a item in a source book that was basically a baby in a box that cultists would carry around when they needed a sacrificial baby on the go, which is just like fucking weird. But like all of the angel designs are really, really cool. Like it's a very pretty book. It's a very pretty book. The production values are great. Look, that built at 2 a.m. and they didn't come back. Oh god. The dice system's kind of fucked too. It uses like a weird poker dice that just doesn't work. Yeah, I do think Cthulhu Tech could be run properly. I don't think you use Cthulhu Tech as a system. From what I understand, if you run specifically Evangelion, there's a fan hack of the Dark. Speaking about Dark Heresy, you can use, from my account, it's called Adaptus Evangelion. It is based off Dark Heresy, but is a system to run Ava-style games. I haven't tried it myself, but I've heard really, really good things. I think if you want to run Cthulhu Tech, you could run it and adapt it, like Adava, I think is a short, Adaptus Evangelion. You could run it in that, and you could probably make it work. I feel like it's called that. Let me double check on that. Dark Heresy is very grim, but it is very fun. I'm trying to. I don't know like when is the newest version of like I said, it's a fan RPG, so finding the newest version is going to be difficult. There's a thread that mentions it here. This is dating back 6 years ago, so it might not. There might be better stuff. Actually, you could also use Lancer. Oh, Lancer, I've heard really good things about for mech RPGs. Lancer, is sort of become the gold standard lately of mech RPGs. I would want to recommend it. I can't because I haven't gotten to actually read the rulebook myself, but there's people I trust that swear by it. And I would, I think if you're interested in a mech RPG, that's probably the better way to go now that I think about it. But yeah, I've had really good Dark Heresy moments. Like, I had a friend who tried to non-lethally hit someone with a power fist because he didn't realize how lethal a power fist was. Let's just say that the person that got love tapped with a power fist. Oh yeah, it's just Lancer. Let me see. I could see Lancer RPG. Here we go. They also have a copy of the core book that has most of the rules for free. They have like a bunch of GM stuff is locked behind paying for it, but if you just want to read the player-facing rules, that's where you can find Lancer there. I'm also upset because from what I can tell, there's not easily available physical versions, and I have a brain defect where I must own physical copies of books. I love having a physical collection. Oh, I love physical books. They're so good. That's another good, okay. Hope you don't mind. I'm doing a little tangent on this Dark Heresy story. I ran a Dark Heresy campaign. A friend of mine basically was playing a AdMech person, and he specifically said, I want to be filled with explosives. So on the chance that I die, I want there to be a dead man's trigger, and I want to fucking explode. And we were like, cool, okay, that's going to happen. The party was fighting like a gang on some like backwater dirt planet, and basically at some point during the fight, the AdMech dude got wounded and basically had to passed out against a wall, while the psyker, there was a psyker, there was another dude. I think there's like just like an Imperial Guardsman, and then there was like a long-range sniper who was far away. And the Psyker and Imperial Guards dude were trying to go inside of effectively they were like Mad Max gangers. Like they had a bunch of cars and they had like a fuel tank inside the building. And the sniper just saw that the fact that the rest of the party were getting fucked and that the AdMech player was going to bleed to death. And he's like, you know what? I know what I must do. I must shoot the AdMech player to kill them, to trigger the explosives so we can take out these gangers. And the other guy was like, go for it, buddy. I give you full permission. Let's make this happen. The assassin snipes the AdMech player, kills him, explodes. And the thing is, they were right on the other side of the wall was a massive fuel tank. So the AdMech player exploded, the fuel tank ignited, it exploded, and then the entire battlefield just turned into a bunch of flaming wreckage as the Psyker and the Guardsmen were caught in the middle of a hailfire, trying to like get their way out. It was fucking amazing. Like there are moments like that that are very fun and comfy with Dark Heresy. You can do a lot of sad things in there, and I would love to run it again. Cult Mechanicus. It's a real beautiful move. It's a very like 40k player story. Definitely, yeah. It's fun though. We had a lot of fun in that campaign. I'd love to do that again. I'd love to play it again. All right. What else? Let's see. I'm trying to think. So we are approaching the 3-hour mark, and I think this stream had a pretty good run. Before we wrap up and end this, if you guys have any other remaining questions before I close this out, do you guys do you use the standard setting of 40k? So generally when I run systems, I don't use the standard setting, but here's the fun thing about 40k. It's such a vast and expansive do whatever the fuck you want setting that you can just use vanilla 40k and just set it in some like backwater world, and you can basically do whatever. It's super open. You can't do entirely whatever. You can't have like a dude with a knife like stab Slanesh in the gut and kill her. But like if you follow the quote unquote rules of 40k, you have a lot of freedom to have fun. You can do a lot with it. So that's like the one setting I do. Yes, I want to know how you get cuter every day. I do my cute reps. I go to my cute gym. I got a whole bunch of cute supplies, and I just lift cute every day. I'm getting just swole with cute. That's how I get cuter every day. Thank you for noticing though, Oedipus. I'm glad. I've been doing my cute practice. That's not true. This is just me neck bearding for like 3 hours, and I'm glad you guys all came because I always worry about doing these. Not for me. Thanks for the stream. Really enjoyed it. Where do I work out? At the cute gym. Exactly. Cute powder. What I want to know, what it take to get someone like House Stock Shock. I notice you literally every stream. You are easily my most distinct viewer. You have been noticed hard. You've definitely been noticed. I don't know, like it's to the point where I notice you in other people's streams. Like, oh, there's that Stock Shock. I post the final pick of. You did. Oh, damn. You guys want to see some fan art drop? You guys want to see some fan art fucking drop? Oh my god, it's so good. So semi-serious nerd is a wonderful artist, and they have been doing amazing art of me dressed up as a Vermin Lord, like Monster Hunter style. Like I skinned a Vermin Lord and wore it, and I definitely want to show that off on stream live. The power of the thirst made me noticeable. Exactly. Let me. God, why's my computer? My computer's been getting janker. All right, guys, behold. I keep wanting to drag images into the Roll20 window. I mean, into the Twitch window and not my OBS. Ooh, this is real big. Let's see. Oh, I also need to rotate this. Oh yeah, I forgot there's that. Was it? It's like transform, fit to screen. Here we go, and then we'll rotate. Here we go. Guys, look how good this is. I'm legitimately considering it. It's going to have to be a bit because that level of costume is going to cost. I forget how much my papa is charging for alt costumes, but we could put some bells on the horns if I make this a costume. But I do think legitimately this is going to like I hope you don't mind, Semi. I do want to make this my alt costume. When I get the funds for it, I need once again pay off legs first, and then make alt costume. I'll also probably have to be wearing like some sort of mesh outfit because I think in general the nipples are going to be too spicy for Twitch. But like, God, I want this. I want this so bad. So yeah, if you guys want to see this be made sooner than later, I can't make you guys do that. But. I'm going to say it's coming, but it might be a bit. I have to get the funds together for it, but I do want this. I really do want this. I've legitimately, so I'm not like, I wasn't like losing my shit over the HoloLive new alternate costumes for the Ian crew, but like, I do like the magic of getting a new costume is very spicy, and I would like to do that. I could just drink a potion, not to have, yeah, just the anti-nipple potion. That's my favorite flavor. But yeah, look how good this is. Also, Semi, make sure to post this shit on Twitter because I want to retweet you. Also, real quick, I want to shout Semi out because they are cool. They are cool, and I want to give them credit. I always want to make sure people do art for me get proper credit because that's so much talent there. It's so much talent. Crimo gets away the nips. I guess that's true. Yeah. Crimo does have some very just big old prominent man titties, which I mean that's part of his brand. That makes sense. What does it taste? It tastes like a lack of nipples. That's the wonders of this potion. Whoa! This shift's weird just because of the organizing thing. Whoa! This is so good. Yeah. I'm glad you guys like this though. And yeah, everyone give Semi-Serious a follow because that is some talented art, and there's going to be more talented art coming from them. Easily. Where I definitely recommend. All right. So let me see. Last call. Let's see. I'm trying to do a scan, but it's not working right. Also want to do full line with every weapon. Pinyo costume. Ooh, yeah. I'd have to find a way to put Pinyo in there. Maybe I just put Pinyo in so the helmet has these like little like skull holes. Maybe I'll just like put Pinyo in one of the holes, just peeking out. I guess it'd be very cheap to get alternate costumes for Pinyo because I could just make those. I should do that. I should get Pinyo more alternate costumes. We can put that to a vote sometime for Pinyo alternate costumes. I would like that. We're trying to do a scan, but hasn't been working right. I mean, this scan seems pretty good stuff. I mean, I think if this is a picture being taken, like, don't feel like you gotta get the perfect scan. I love this either way. You should definitely post it, even if you don't get the perfect scan, because it's so good. It's so good. Pinyo idol outfit. Oh, so Pinyo's going to be the one that wears the dress. I'm too impure to be an idol, but Pinyo is the shining beacon of say so in this dark world. I wouldn't mind doing that though. I'd like to get more Pinyo art in general too. So yeah. Let me see. I think this is probably a good wrap up spot. Unless okay. Last call for questions. And then I'm going to do some raids. I'm seeing who is on right now. Who is on? Someone who's on, someone who I haven't raided before. Let me see. Or haven't raided in a long time. I'm just kind of looking through my big old list. We got what's it? Oh, wait, there's Dice Queen D, who is like another VTuber who's like very much on tabletop gaming. Felty is streaming at this hour? Oh shit, maybe I'll raid Felty. I don't get to see Felty very often at like this late. So I mean, she must be up super early. Can we raid the otter? Yeah, I don't mind. We can raid the ASM otter. Go for it. Link the otter and let me give him a quick look. Make a D&D channel for the Discord. Your wish is granted. I will... I clicked the wrong button. Yeah, I can do that. Also, if you guys want to join my Discord, I have a Discord right here. And I will add a D&D channel now. Let's see, I'm going to say just like tabletop RPGs. There we go. It is Pearl Otter. Okay. Let me do that. Let me give them a quick, as usual, I want to give them a quick look just to make sure they are legit. And then let me see. Oh, they are very cute. All right. We will give Pearl Otter a raid. And then let's do that. All right. I've created a channel called Tabletop RPGs. So we're going to raid Pearl Otter. I have no idea what they're about, but I'm gonna give Stock Shock the benefit of the doubt. They seem cute. Here's the raid message, and then here's the raid free message. Thank you guys all for coming. On tomorrow, I'm not going to be streaming on my channel, but I'll be streaming on Dippy's channel. If you're familiar with him from the Niwa Tories, I'm going to be doing. You said as a joke. Oh, should I cancel that then? I don't know. We could raid her. She also has this. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe someone a bit smaller. I don't know. Let me see. I do kind of want to raid Felty. Oh, actually, Pumpino. I haven't raid Pumpino in a long ass time. I do want to check the otter out though, but I don't know if this would be a good stream to transition from me into her. I don't think you guys would mix well. Yeah, change it would be weird. But Pumpino's playing tabletop games. We'll raid Pumpino again. Pumpino is fun pumpkin friend. I think this would be a better fit. I will try to check out the otter at some time though, if I remember to. Yeah, so we're raiding Pompino instead. Yeah. Thanks for coming, everybody. And as usual, thanks for stopping by. And what? See, so yeah, I'm gonna be doing that collab. So check my Twitter tomorrow, and then I will let you guys know. This is gonna be fun. I'm gonna be playing with a bunch of other fun VTubers. I'm gonna be playing with Dippy, Koopa, Alaric. Some other people are in that collab. I cannot. My memory bad. Mimi bad. Sorry. But thanks for coming, everybody. Bye-bye.
What the hell are these words for biology?
Welcome to Christianity,
No
where we
way!
have
How?
unlimited pumpkin pie and when this
How?
fire, you turn into an alpaca.
Oh! Yo, rat raid! Rat raid! Rat raid!
Mine is
Rat
type
raid!
here.
Rat raid! Rat
It's exception.
Holy
Exception.
crap!
Yeah,
Wait,
get that
hold
one.
on, let me show you out because all my mods are playing right now. That's the yabai when all your mods are playing or streaming.
Like
You'll
I
take
had
backs.
another word that I just got so confused.
Yo, table.
It's
Yo,
over, Crow.
you also.
It's over.
How?